Episode 141 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Support the show at patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. Our supporter of the week is Meltin. We're also brought to you by Audible. Get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. Welcome to episode 141 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dilz, and with me again is Magpie.
What's good?
So we got a few things to talk about this week. Of course, some changes to the Song of the Elves and everything that came with that. We actually have two dev blogs talking about this Song of the Elves and some of the proposed changes and little tweaks, as well as, again, another set of small tweaks, but we did get the smithing and silver crafting, the new interface that goes with the whole make all interface that I think Mod Ash brought out some odd months ago.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it for what we're going to talk about. But before we get into all that, Magpie, how's your week? Did you do anything exciting?
Oh man, I'm going to talk your head off this week, so you could stop me whenever.
All right, let's do it.
Real life first. I took a day trip to SF at some point.
San Francisco?
Yep, San Francisco. That's why we normally record. Like the day we normally record, I couldn't actually make it. So
yeah, everything's been all crazy on my end too. So
hey, it happens. But yeah, so I went to San Francisco. Wrapped up my internship. Had a couple interviews. So just been chilling. And
so you finish up your internship and now you're hoping to secure a job with some of the companies you are interning for?
I'm hoping to get either a better internship or a full-time job. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I have a couple interviews coming up and I took that trip out to San Francisco. So that was like for not for my job or anything. It was entirely for leisure. I just had to get some shit sorted. But while I was there, I had ramen like at a proper ramen house for the first time, so that was pretty cool.
Nice. Ramen's pretty. I went through a whole phase with ramen when I was when me and my girlfriend first got together because she had a few places around there.
Hell yeah.
Although like we used to go like every week, and then we went one of the weeks, and it was a very subpar experience. It was we always get karaage, which is like deep fried chicken.
Yeah. And
it looked like it almost had like the feathers on still. Like it looked like hair. All
damn.
Like, it was just like a hairy chicken deep fry. Like, this is gross. Then I went to go eat my I always get an egg, and normally it's like soft boiled, I think, which like it's almost like the yolk inside is like Jello.
Yeah,
it's a
like a medium boiled. I love it. I love that. That's my favorite consistency for eggs. Yeah, I know
it's so good. But anyways, I sliced it open with the chopsticks, and it just like spilled out like water. And I was like,
shit.
Oh, and we both ate it, and we just felt like we were gonna die. I was convinced we got food poisoning. Anyways, point being, that's when I realized ramen's great, but it's like the Japanese fast food.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But it's good.
I've never been to Japan. I'm not like crazy into Japanese culture or anything. I'm not a weeaboo or anything.
A weeaboo? Yeah, okay.
But if I were to go, I'd want to check out like ramen there at an authentic like place, where all the key is to just like go at lunchtime and look at everyone leaving their office and see where they're going. That's what I always do whenever I'm like a tourist, basically, so that I don't stand out. But anyway,
smart.
I went to that for a day trip and I just chilled. RuneScape related. So I've actually got a lot done last week. Like, wow. So remember all the way back in our rambles when you said you had a KQ task? And yes. I quote myself as saying I would never touch that shit with a 10-foot pole myself.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, so I got a cow fight task. So I had to touch it with a 10-foot pole. So yeah, that was fun.
Did you finish it?
I did finish it. I got the KQ head. So then I just ended up cannoning the babies and getting the points. Some people cannon the workers. Some people cannon the guardians for better XP. I'm just doing Slayer for money at this point. I already have the cape and everything. Even though I want to go for more, the big thing for me was getting the KQ head. So I got that, finished that grind super early. So that's good. And then
I'm still on the Cal Fight Queen task. I'll get a few kills done every couple days, and then I'm like, I'm gonna do something else.
Yeah, and actually, I'm gonna ask you to stick a pin in that real quick, because then I got a bunch of random tasks that I did, and then I got a gargoyle task. So now I'm killing the gargoyle bosses.
Nice.
They're fun. Here's the thing, is the difference between doing them when I was a low to mid level and the difference between doing them now with max stats and gear is pardon the pun, because I know that's their name, but it's literally night and day. Both the KQ and the gargoyle bosses, the grotesque guardians, it made me think about this, and I actually like tried to remember this for when we next recorded.
Oh, is this a thought experiment?
Well, it's not really a thought experiment. It's just like a lot of the mid-level bosses suck ass to do if you're a mid-level. So KQ is technically now a mid-level boss, even though
good luck.
Yeah.
It's tough. The problem with KQ, it's like it's so RNG on is it gonna hit hard? Because there's no mechanics to it, right?
Yeah, it just hits constantly. Like I think it hits with 100% accuracy as well. So the way I did it, I know there's like a way you can do it with the Sanguinesti staff where you try and heal as much as possible. But I just went in with like max gear, Venge, and just like tried to rush through the kills as fast as possible.
True, yeah.
But then I went to the grotesque guardians, and I thought I would hate that grind because they're really slow. Not a lot of people like them. It's really annoying because there's so much dead time. Basically, all the boss mechanics, if you remember the poll blog they released when they talked about like what they wanted to do when it came to boss design and how they make good bosses now. And they said like, don't punish the player if they don't do anything wrong. Stuff like that, which I think we went over last week, but they clearly learned from some of the mistakes from Grotesque Guardians because there's so much dead time there. It's like a lot of fluff around the fight.
Yeah, okay. The dead time comes with having to wait for them to go into the middle, and then you have to dodge all those rocks, right?
Yeah, so
not the rocks, the portal lightning bolt things.
Yeah, the those weird portals. It's funny because like before Runelight had the left click quick start. If you left click accidentally, you're like, oh shit! Now I have to wait for like another 4 minutes while this intro, because they have the opening like cutscene every time you ring the bell.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of dead time. That being said, when you do it with max gear, it's actually really fast paced and it's really fun.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like, and it made me realize like a lot of the mid-level bosses aren't that fun to do as a mid-level until you actually like become over-leveled for them. Because for the gargoyles, like I was skipping, the healing phase with the orbs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I guess we should just give a quick background. The way the fight works is there are two gargoyle bosses on the Slayer Tower roof. One of them hits only with melee, the other one hits with range. You have to damage the range gargoyle down to half health, and then there's like a bit of a dead time where you have to dodge some portals. Then you damage the melee guy down to half health, and then there's some dead time, and then then you go back to the range, except she gets an extra like special attack where she throws these orbs down, and if you don't pick them up, they heal her.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do this with high enough stats and gear, what you can do is you can actually just skip that and ignore them straight up.
Wow. Okay.
So I would just like blowpipe her through that whole phase, and basically like 9 times out of 10, unless you get really bad RNG, if you're max potted, you can just skip through that whole thing. You don't have to pick them up. You just ignore them. And then
it's been a while since I've gone the task, so it's I haven't gone there with better gear.
Yeah. You should give it a shot because I really enjoyed it. But it kind of sucks because if you were to do it, like they were my first experience as a mid-level boss. They were some of my first PVM experience. And I remember like I enjoyed them more than most people, but I still disliked them.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks that you really can't enjoy them when you're at the level for them to actually be relevant. Like they brought them out as mid-level bosses, and it sucks because the only nice thing is just to go for a PB when you're clearly like past that part of the game.
It's almost like they put it there so that for mid levels, it's not so like, hey, you're going to want to grind these bosses out. It's more like you can actually fight a Slayer boss now if you want to. Whether or not it's optimal, it's something else, but it's there if you want to. Yeah,
I guess. And I know it's not efficient to do them technically. I would argue it's not really that efficient to do gargoyles in general, but I want the pet. The pet is like on my list of tiered pets that I need. So it's been fun. And then,
so what pets have you got? So you say you're on a bit of the pet hunt, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the what pets do you currently have?
The pets I currently have are pretty straightforward. Like, I have this whole system mapped out that I won't like bore you with the details about. But the pets I do have, okay, so I have them in a list, almost like a tier system. Without going into the details, my two pets, like the top tier pets that I want, were just like, I need these pets desperately because I will nonstop grind until I get them.
Is it just like your favorite pet?
Yeah, my two favorite pets, Hell Puppy and the Hydra Pet. I got them both.
Oh,
and then
nice.
the tier below that is the pets that I do want to grind for, and I enjoy the grind, and I like want to get them. But if I don't end up getting them, it's not a big deal. And that's the Metamorphic Dust Omelet, the Dustlet, as it's called, the one with the challenge mode dust that lets you change from the omelet to the other ones. So I have the omelet. I don't have the dust.
Okay. Are you doing much challenge raids?
I've slowed down a little bit, but yeah, I try to get at least a couple in every week.
Oh, damn, nice.
And I also have the Verzik pet in there, which I already have.
Oh, you have the Verzik pet?
Yeah.
God damn, I didn't know that. Nice.
Yeah, and the Inferno pet, the Nibbler, which that grind's going to be really painful.
Yeah, have fun with that one.
And then the tier below that is just like the pets that I'd like to go for at some point. That if I get the chance, I will go for, and that's the Gargoyle pet, Thermi, Zulrah, Sire, I guess, and the Squirrel, the Agility Squirrel, which is the only skilling one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have 6 pets now.
So what pets were? So you have Verzik, Cerberus.
Yep, Hydra.
Hydra. What's the other two?
Dagonoth Supreme Jr.
Oh, nice.
And the Tangleroot, the farming pet.
Oh, cool. Those are pretty sick pets.
Yeah, I like them all except Dagonoth Supreme. I know he's a sick pet and everything. I just it feels undeserved. I never really grinded out DKs. I got it at like 12 kill count, so it's kind of like the black sheep of the family. It's adopted. It's like that. Yeah, that kid that like Harry Potter, you just stuff it in the cabinet.
Yeah, true.
But you know, it's nice to have.
I'm surprised the Queen Penance pet isn't on there.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks gross to me.
Oh yeah, I think that's my favorite pet. I think part of it's because it's so rare, but
yeah. I feel it. The Penance Queen is always sick when someone takes it out of the bank. It's like super cool to see. But those are the pets like I have and the ones I'm grinding for right now. Obviously, I'm grinding for the Gargoyle pet. I'm taking a short break from Zulrah because I have a mutagen. So I'll just like,
oh, cool.
That time will come.
Yeah.
That being said, are you ready to hate me?
Yes.
So I did a bunch of raids this week.
Okay. Here we go.
I did a lot of Theater of Blood. In Theater of Blood, I got 3 Avernic Defender hilts.
Damn. So let me see how much those are going for.
All right. I got I think a trio split and 2
72 mil.
Yeah.
Damn.
So 2 4-man splits and a trio split.
Okay.
I got just a shark chest and legs.
I mean, just chest and legs, 17 mil and 20 mil for the legs. Okay.
Yep. The legs were in a 4-man. The chest was in a trio. I got a Grazi Rapier in a 4-man.
Holy shit. Because that's almost 170 mil. Damn.
Yep. And then over the weekend, I did a learner raid in Xerix. And it was a 10-man raid, and I got a twisted bow.
Oh, no way. The one bill drop. God damn. What an awesome learner raid that'd be.
Yeah, some people it was like their first kill count, so it was really nice to see. Everybody flips, and it's nice to see.
That's 100 mil each, right?
Yep.
Do you take a bigger cut since you're like the Sherpa of the group?
No. It's generally in those raids that we do, if you get an item that is worth more than 1 mil per person, if it's split, you keep it. I mean, you split it. If it's less than 1 mil split, you keep it for yourself. So if it's like you get an arcane prayer scroll, which is 5 mil or something, but it's a 10-man, it's like not worth the time to split it with everyone. So it's you keep it.
All right, fair.
But when I do it with friends, we split everything except for we split all the uniques.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then if you remember, you asked to hold off on recording for a couple of days.
Yeah, we planned on Tuesday, but I can't remember what it was, but I was busy. Oh, I think
Good thing we did.
Whatever.
Because yesterday I hopped on super late at night. I was tired after work, after the gym. Yeah. I did a trio Tob, and I got a scythe.
What? Okay, how much are those? I haven't checked the price of that in a while.
It's over a bill.
Like scythe, 1 bill. Wow. Holy shit! So you're just swimming in the money right now.
Yeah, I gave some of it away, but
God,
I literally, I literally like, I have all my gear now sorted, so that's fun.
That's awesome.
This has not been a usual week. Don't worry, I'm not going to come in next week and be like, yeah, I got 4 scythes and a T-bow. But
okay, so you probably had a lot of luck on your side, but were you running a lot of raids to begin with?
Yeah.
Or were you just, I ran like, crazy lucky.
So from last time we recorded till now, I ran 50 Theater of Blood raids and I think like 10 or so regular chambers. Yeah.
Okay.
10. And then a couple challenge modes in there. So
what's your favorite raid of the 2 kind of 3?
That's a really tough question. They all have their like pros and cons. So my favorite one in terms of like speedrun would probably be regular raids, because
Chambers of Xeric?
Yeah, like raids Chambers of Xeric. If you're just like speedrunning it, because it's so fast if you get the right rotation. You do it in like under 15 minutes.
Okay.
You don't prep or anything. In terms of content-wise, mechanic-wise, my favorite set of like PVM to do is definitely Theater of Blood, because like there are so many strategies just like regular raids, but with Theater of Blood, there's actually a lot of teamwork involved. Like, I give everybody this disclaimer, but like when you do Theater of Blood, I'm not the kind of guy who's like a harsh teacher. And sometimes it's almost to a fault. Like, I know I have to sometimes be more assertive and stuff, but I don't like being the bad cop.
Sure.
In Theater of Blood, though, I like every time I teach somebody, I'm like, listen, like in here, it's not like Chambers where you can just get carried through and it doesn't matter if you mess up. Like, and actually, I point everyone to the episode Deegan did when we were learning Theater of Blood together, which was a couple of months ago. Oh man, wow. It was actually like half a year ago now, but
time flies, eh?
Yeah. He said like there's a different mindset, which is very true. Like if you mess up in Chambers of Xeric, nobody cares.
Yeah.
I've literally like done it with super sweaty like speedrunners and stuff, and I've forgotten my arrows, and I've just like sat there trying to figure out why I'm not hitting anything, and then I realized I have no arrows, guys. I have a blessing on. And they're like, oh, haha, lol, that sucks.
Yeah, with Chambers of Xeric, right?
Yeah. But then if you go to Theater of Blood, like, especially as you get higher up, where each person has a more defined role, if you mess up, like, you could kill your whole team super easily. Theater of Blood has a lot more teamwork-based mechanics. My favorite mechanic in the whole game to this day is still the SOTE seg maze. I think it's super cool.
Oh, yeah, that is pretty neat, where one person has to lead it, and it shows everyone else where to go.
Yeah. And so one person gets teleported to the Shadow Realm. Everyone has to follow where they're standing.
Sick.
But like, if you're not pulling your weight in Theater of Blood, you have to expect like not to be flamed. I'll never flame anyone, but like expect like somebody to talk to you, say, listen, dude, you need to like take this. Like, there are a couple of times where we've done learners, and the thing with like certain learners is sometimes you get in the mindset of, oh, you got the first kill count, nice, I can do the content. But what you don't realize is like how much help you had along the way.
Yeah.
So what we've been doing is like we take a couple people on some learner raids, and we're like, nice, we got the kill count. Okay, now what you have to do is go and do it yourself and learn all the runes yourself. Now that you've seen how to do it once or twice, go and do it and die and keep wiping. It doesn't matter. 100k chest, it doesn't matter. Just try your hardest and get to Verzik, get past Verzik, like try and get a kill count without anyone helping you. Because like we've noticed sometimes, if you don't force people to run through that gauntlet themselves, not the gauntlet in Prifddinas, but like run through the ringer.
The metaphorical gauntlet.
Yeah, exactly. People just like take it easy and they start having conversations and stuff, and that's when you start to have like problems. Like,
they get complacent.
I'm not saying you
right?
can't. Yeah, exactly. Complacent. That's a perfect way to describe it. Like, you can definitely take things easy with Theater of Blood. It's just like regular raids, just like anything in the game. Once you get used to it, once you get the muscle memory and stuff, that's when you take it easy. But like sometimes in the Nylocas room, for example, if you're just like talking and you're not really attacking all the time, that's a big no-no. Stuff like that. So that's what's cool about Theater of Blood, is you have set roles, and like it's really cool how you can say, oh, I'm a mage, I'm a mage, I'm a ranger. I'm a melee DPS, and they all have their own like assignments. But challenge mode, I think, is the most like true to form raid in general, because that's the one where you go in and it's like it's your typical like MMO style raid where you go in, you get all your gear ready, you have to make potions and stuff and supplies, and there's no skipping certain rooms. You have to be able to do all the rooms that you do in Chambers of Xeric, like. You have to do Vespula, you have to do Vanguards. We've had a couple times where, like, I'm open to doing challenge mode learners as well. I'm not the best at it, but if you have the gear and the levels, the only thing we ask is that, like, you know how to do the rooms. Because you have to be able to know Vanguards. You have to know how to do the rooms efficiently without killing people. Because with challenge mode, the bosses hit so hard that it becomes fun again. Because the problem is, if you do a regular Chambers of Xeric, like Mystics is a snooze fest. You just sit there and you attack them. Guardians is whatever. But you go into challenge mode and it's like they hit you for a 40 and then they melee you over and over again. You're like, oh god, I have to actually like save spot them and stuff. So without talking your head off for the rest of the podcast, like I just like the variety we have. Theater of Blood is definitely a step up from Chambers of Xeric, but I would say challenge mode and Theater of Blood are about equal in terms of difficulty.
I feel like we could talk a lot about raids because there's so much, and it's like a whole broader topic. It's almost like I'm sitting here being like, fuck, I want to keep talking about it, but I almost feel like maybe we should push it aside for another rambles down the road, ramble episode.
Yeah.
But that being said, I love raiding. And I've only touched the normal Chambers of Xeric, and I kind of agree where it can be a bit of even the whole raid itself can be a snooze fest. When you're with a very good group, you don't even talk, you just boom, run it. It's like you're speed running every half an hour, and it's like it's anyway. So I've been running a lot of learners with the CC itself, where I'm taking people who have like under 5 kill count, or they're just starting to learn it, and I find I enjoy those the most, even though they can take like 2 hours sometimes. But for me, it's still fun because it's like, it's a bit of a challenge because I can't just like turn my brain off, because I have to do my best, because if I end up dying, then that's a huge portion of the points that are gone. And, you know, if we are going to get something good, it's, you know, much more less of a chance, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, first things before I get into it, but first thing I want to ask, for someone who wants to learn Theater of Blood, what kind of gear like do you recommend? Because I know some people say like with Chambers of Xeric, I always say if you're going to learn it, I would say bring Void. Even though if you might have all Bandos and Armadillo and Ancestral, I would still say it might be better to learn in Void because you're just going to get tripped up with all the switches and dodging mechanics. You're not going to get any damage off. Doesn't matter. Like it feels like it doesn't matter what gear you have.
Yeah. I mean, to each their own. And people have their own like recommendations when it comes to Chambers of Xeric. For Theater of Blood, it's a lot more. There's a much greater consensus. You basically do full Void. You bring a Berserker Ring, Imbued, and Zenite Jewelry. You need base 90s and combat stats. If you're like a good pure, you could probably do it at 75 defense. Probably not any lower, but definitely base 90s is what I would recommend. You also need 94 magic when you're starting off, or just in general, actually, you always need 94 magic and at least 90 range. You need the blowpipe, tentacle, a salve amulet. You don't need to imbue it at Nightmare Zone though. You just need to, an enchanted one, so you don't need to like constantly do Nightmare Zone for that. Even though you need an EI for regular Chambers of Xeric. And you also need a Trident of the Swamps, and then you need full Void, full Elite Void.
Okay, so it's I guess it's kind of similar to if you wanted to learn Chambers of Xeric. Yeah,
the gear requirements are way less expensive for learning Tob. The learning curve, I would say, is steeper though. And actually, like to wrap up what I did this week, I also did a couple of learners in the CC, like in the Wild CC as well.
Nice.
So those were fun. We didn't get anything, but there were a nice couple deathless raids, which was nice.
Oh,
and
good
then
stuff.
Skill related, I'm on a crafting grind at the moment. I got a master clue for what is it, like creating a light orb or something?
Yeah.
So I'm basically just trying to get my crafting to 83 so I can boost. But that was my week, jam packed, full of GP. It's raining cash over here.
Oh,
but,
snap!
Yeah.
But I do want to go back to the rating because I know I was talking about it with some people earlier this week. It was hard for me to touch on, but we were talking about RuneFest and our predictions, and let's not give our RuneFest predictions right yet. We'll do it closer to the date sometime next month. But I was talking about raids, how much I like it because it's group content in like the purest form, and I'm kind of a lot of the bosses they come out with. I don't know about you. Well, how do you feel? Do you like these instant bosses like the Gauntlet and other bosses that they've brought out that are solo only, like Zulrah and Vorkath?
I'm not the biggest fan. I think it's very telling. Like the content they come out with is really telling on the way the game is going. So back like a couple of years ago, all the way up until actually only recently, RuneScape wasn't the most popular game. It was very niche.
Yep.
And so a lot of times, like, finding a community was one of the hardest things about the game, finding a community that you could stick with, like, which is why, go Wild Boys and everything.
Yeah.
So
actually, I just want to cut in. I'm smithing right now, AFK smithing while we were talking. There's a person right next to me named Wild Boy. So I had to take a screenshot and throw it on the Discord. But anyway, sorry, continue.
No, hit him up.
Hard to find.
Yeah, I just think it's telling how, like, a few years ago, the game was way less populated, so you kind of had to have all the new content be solo, instanced only kind of things. Because
if you designed it around
a group, you wouldn't be able to find a group quickly enough. Like you said, some people were lazy. It's just like there weren't the communities that we have now weren't in place. But you'll notice as the game got more and more popular, you have more group-based activities. So it started with Raids 1, Chambers of Xeric, and then Vorkath. I think after Vorkath, that marked a big change where we got Theater of Blood. Then we got Hydra, which let's skip over that. That's another solo instance.
Yeah.
But we've been getting like Volcano and Sarachnis, which actually they wanted to make a solo-only boss, and then they reverted it because now we actually have those. We have those communities now. We have like people that we can play with more frequently, etc. Because
it just takes the time to go out and look for it. You might not have one, but you can find one.
Yeah, of course. And there are lots of communities. There's a bunch of PVM clans. There are a bunch of like event clans, Gather OSRS. There are Discords out there for them. I'm not affiliated with them, but they do a lot of nice. They have a couple J mods in there that like participate in their events. They do like hide and seek events, drop parties at the GE. So there's a community for everyone, and you know the Wild CC proves that as well. Like you can even have a community around just talking about the game.
Yeah, they're everywhere, whether it's on Facebook or, man, they even have Instagram pages now, but you can find it. You just need to look for it. So if you're out there and you're a solo player, you can take the time to look for it. And it definitely does hide in the gaming experience.
Yeah. What about you, though? Would you say you think there are going to be more solo instances, or that's just my prediction? I think we're stepping away from that, but
I don't know. I hope not. Because I find the best, the most fun I have, and the most fun that I seem to, I feel from others, is doing group bossing or raiding. Like that seems like to be the most fun because you're hanging out with people and you're doing some hard content, and then it's when you get some loot, it's fun to share it together. Going into my week a little bit, I did some bandos this week with some guys. We got a bandos chest plate, so that ended up being a 5 mil split between us. It was awesome, but bandos itself it's kind of a boring boss, right? And it's pretty easy when you get enough people. You don't have not many mechanics to worry about. But it's still, when you're doing it with a group, it's still fun because you're just doing it with others, right?
Exactly.
To each their own, but I hope that they do focus on bringing out another raid, because sure, we have 2, but 2 really isn't that much. And I would love for them to go in the direction of having just more content like raiding.
14 raids.
Get 15. Let's do 15. Nice. Yeah, I would love for them to start like moving that direction. Obviously, some solo content is great, like the Inferno. That's like some crazy hard solo content. But I hope they continue to bring out raiding. That's one of my hopes for RuneFest this year, for them to drop a 3rd raid on us.
I know I remember in one episode you called out the Sands of Time desert-based raid.
I feel like it's a strong choice to have. Because if you look at the map right now, there's 2 spots they need to flesh out still, and one of them is Zaya, the Kingdom of Varlamore, and the other is Desert, which is Menaphos, and I guess more of Sophanum. That could be it.
I think, we can go into this like closer to RuneFest, like you said. I think this RuneFest is going to be marked with big PvP focus. They're going to go into PvP, I think, a lot more. And then it's also going to either be a raids announcement, or they're going to wrap up the desert questline with Menaphos as well.
Yeah, and you could do both, right? People love these Song of the Elves, Dragon Slayer 2. They love these big Grandmaster quests. Even Monkey Madness 2, but the hype is definitely more for Dragon Slayer 2 and Song of the Elves. Yeah,
the problem is, I don't think people are going to care that much for the desert compared to the Elf or the Dragon Slayer 2, because one of them is an iconic piece of the game. Like, Dragon Slayer is the first big boss you fight, pretty much, with Elvarg, and then it's like a great way to wrap up. Dragon Slayer 2 always feels like the last quest people should do in the game.
Yeah.
I saved it for my final quest before I got the quest cape, because it feels like it deserved that kind of magnanimity. Magnanimity.
That sounds right.
Whereas with Prifdinus, it was in the game, but nobody could get in.
Yeah.
And it's like that whole Eric Andre let me in meme, where everybody was like, damn, I want to get in here. It seems so cool. And then, when they announced it at RuneFest, it was like, yes, finally, it's like the end of an era, the end of us just camping outside trying to get in.
That's true. That's why I guess I do think they're going to be fleshing out more of the map, but we'll have to wait and see. But before we go into the news, Shit, you know,
Your
you got
week.
me. Yeah, my week. Not a whole lot has gone on, but you got me itching for Theater of Blood, so we'll have to, as you would say, put a pin on that until after we're done recording.
Yeah.
Set something up. But I did a bit of the Gauntlet, not a whole lot, but enough that I completed it finally.
Oh, nice.
I'm not sure. Have you completed it yet yourself?
Yeah, both the corrupted and the regular.
Oh, you got them both. It's what do you think? Do you like it?
I haven't been there too much since the update. I know they've made a couple of changes as well since then with today's update, but it's a little bit RNG heavy. I personally enjoy it. I think it's content that's really fun to do, even if the rewards aren't like the best. Who really cares? Because I enjoyed it a lot, actually. Like I'll be grinding a bunch out eventually.
I thought it was a lot of fun too. I enjoyed it. Like, it's solo content, but it's actually fun because you're making your own armor, you're kind of racing, and the RNG factor can be frustrating, but I like it because it makes it fun. Like, you're having to explore every single time. You can't just go in and know exactly what's ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know, okay, if I just go north and then turn east, I can do this room and then this room, and boom, that's the most optimal route, because people will figure that out.
Yeah.
So yeah, making sure that isn't an option, it makes it more fun, I find. But I enjoyed it, and yeah, I don't know. I can see it being fun, but then it's fun until it's not. But I find that happens with a lot of solo content. But yeah, besides that, just I've been doing some raids. Yeah, I do fishing on my off time, getting close to 92. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot, just the odd bossing and odd raiding. And each night I've been trying to I've been playing out my hardcore Iron Man that I keep on PvP Worlds. I do that only on stream. You can twitch.tv/the Dilz if you want to check that out.
Nice.
But it's been a lot of fun. It's like a big change of pace, and I'm trying not to use any guides for anything. And it's kind of fun because I'm kind of exploring the game again. I'm only sticking to free-to-play until I beat Dragon Slayer, but kind of have a lot to work with. Like I didn't realize. I never think about how much there is in free-to-play until I start. I'm playing this Iron Man where I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, and this. I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot that I can work towards, which is like, I want to get not full rune, but pretty close to full rune. And I know you can purchase a lot of it. And with Obor and Fitta and the Ogresses from the Corsair's Cove, you can get like a fair bit of money. And I think they drop some rune equipment itself. So between those three things, like, it gives you a lot to work on that you could, being a new player on free to play, you could be busy for a long time before you ever felt the need to upgrade to members. Yeah,
I mean, especially as an Iron Man, because you don't have like the GE and stuff, it's really fun to like have to grind for those drops, to grind for the money to get the what was it? The rune plate body from Ozyak, that whole meme.
Yeah.
So it's like really entertaining to just do it as a free-to-play Iron Man. That's what sucks about like people who join free-to-play and then ask people for advice. Like, a lot of the time I browse the OSRS Discord, the official Discord at work. Just check it out. It's not worth it. Don't go in there. That place is a cesspit. But
I'm in it, but all I do is get like random scammers PMing me being like, hey, click this link and you can win blah, 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 blah.
Find out why Wooks is quitting.
Yeah.
Oh my god, all you have to do is click on this link, dude. But anyway.
Experience.
So it's the same like 5 questions over and over again. It's like, hey, how do I make money with these stats? What should I do with my account? What quest should I do? Blah, blah, blah. But like everybody just says, buy 1 bond. For anyone who's like, hey guys, I just joined the game, I'm on mobile or whatever, I just joined, what should I do? And everyone says, buy a bond, do waterfall quest, and then do the optimal quest guide on the wiki. And that's nice and all, but like, it takes a lot of the enjoyment out of exploring the game that we had as kids as well. Like, free to play is big enough, and people often forget that like the people who are asking for advice have never experienced the game. And free to play is supposed to be a free experience for those people who don't know if they're going to like old school or not. The last thing I want to do is tell people to buy access to the fun, if that makes sense. Because then that's what kind of impression are you leaving on old school? I don't think it's a genuine impression, actually. If you're saying you have to pay real life money to enjoy old school, that makes it sound like it's very microtransaction-y and stuff, which is totally couldn't be farther from the truth. So, I always enjoyed like exploring free to play. Whenever like a new friend hops into the game, I hop on like a free to play account that I have and I just like walk around with them and just like explore with them. And it's always nice because you get to relive all those areas. So many areas that you just like, dude, when was the last time? Well, I guess with your free to play PvP Iron Man, it would have been pretty recently. But before you started, when was the last time you went to like the Draenor Village crossroads?
Oh yeah, I know. Couldn't even tell you.
Exactly. Like, do you know which side of the river the windmill's on in Lumbridge? Which side the second cow farm is?
East? Second cow farm.
I don't think there's a second cow farm. Yeah, I don't know. That's a trick question. But
actually, I think there is. There is a cow, the cow farm right behind the windmill.
Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah, there is. Well, there you go.
Yeah, trust me. So on my free-to-play account, so the gimmick of it, obviously not just PvP worlds, but I'm trying to do quest after quest. So if I need to make food, which I'm constantly always having to make food, I'm not going to go. Yeah. I'm not going to go grind my fishing up so I can catch swordfish. Instead, I'm going to make the food that's available to me right now, which was bread. And then from bread, I would go to the wheat, the wheat fields, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pick it, turn it into flour, make bread with it, and then I can make pies, using the pies as my best food. And so my fishing's only gone up a few levels because I needed to get cooking up for to get access to the cooking guild, because I was like, anyway, so that's how I've been doing it. And yeah, there's so much content where I'm just like, I got access to the cooking guild, and I was like, sweet, this is going to be useful, even though it's not useful for most people, but just because the way I'm playing it makes it useful, because you get cooking apples in there, which means I can make apple pies, which are like the second best food in free to play.
Yeah,
and so I'm able to do that. But besides that, the cooking guild has a wheat field right next to it, so you have everything in one spot.
So that's your next grind?
I actually completed it this week. And makes food easier to make, because it's all in one spot. I don't have to run to Draenor to get to that windmill, and then run to the bank, and then it's all this running around.
Yeah.
So it's all a lot closer. Yeah. No. So basically, yeah. There's a lot of cool shit that you miss when you're following guides.
Yeah. And that's like a really fun part about playing Iron Man, is there's so much content that you skip when you're just like a main account that follows guides, like you said, or just like follows guides, buys everything at the GE, teleports everywhere. Like, if you're playing an Iron Man, like you get a Devious Spectre or an Aberrant Spectre task, you're like, yes, those are herbs. Like you go and grind certain Slayer monsters for random jobs. Like you grind Infernal Mages, things that you would never touch on a main. Once you're like past a certain level or stuff. Mm-hmm. And then because you're not following a guide, it's a lot more organic, where you have those moments where you actually have to use your brain a bit. You have to think about the puzzles and stuff. So it's nice. Like there's definitely something to enjoy about breaking the game and trying to speedrun things, but there's also, I don't know, I always didn't mind going slow and inefficiently, because I always like try to remind people, nobody said that you have to be efficient when you signed up to the game. That's not in the rules. People can play the game how they want.
It almost feels like that being efficient, it's great when you're starting the game out and you're only playing it because maybe you played it years ago and you already had a high level account, but you have to start all over again. It's great when you have a bunch of friends who are raiding and you're like, oh man, I just want to boss with them and do some group content. Then it's fun to speed run it, but you're not having fun there. You're like having fun in the future. Whereas being not being efficient, slowing down, and just, you know, playing through a quest itself and learning the story, you're having fun right then and there.
Yeah. It's always the journey, not the destination.
Yeah,
like if you're not enjoying what you're doing, like if you're not enjoying what you're actively doing, then take a break or figure out, like, ask yourself why. If you're constantly being like, I can't wait to get this crafting level. Oh my God. I can't wait to get out of Nightmare Zone. I can't wait to get out of blah, blah, blah. I can't wait to make enough money to afford raids gear. I can't wait to get the levels, etc. Then it's like, once you get to raids, you're going to have that mindset even when you raid. Like, the raiding element or whatever it is you're grinding for, not just, we're not making this a raid heavy episode, but it's just like using it as an example. Once you get to whatever content you've been dying to get to, nothing much will change, because after that initial, like, novelty wears off, you're just going to keep saying, I can't wait to get the drop. I can't wait to move on. I can't wait to move on to Theater of Blood. I can't wait to get a T-bow, blah, blah, blah. And then that content won't be fun. Whereas, like, if you take your time, if you enjoy the ride, enjoy the grinds that you set for yourself, I'm a big believer in this. The most fun you could ever have in Oldschool is when you set long and short-term goals and you keep, like, moving the goalposts.
Yeah.
And that's, in my opinion, the most fun you can have in the game. It's not necessarily the whole try to get to the end game as fast as possible, because... Yeah,
then most people get burnt out.
Yeah, it's a slow burn. Savor it, you know, like a good wine, like a good whiskey. It's not vodka. Right. You're not doing vodka shots on the weekend. There are plenty of games that have that kind of gameplay element, but for Oldschool, it's just like sipping a glass of whiskey by the fire. You just enjoy it. You savor it. You let the flavors mingle a little bit.
It's very old fashioned.
Exactly.
But yeah, my week in a nutshell right there. Should we want to hop over to the news?
Let's do it.
All right, so the first thing is Song of the Elves changes and small game updates. So they say they made the following changes to Song of the Elves quest based on player feedback. So first is NPC changes. Zul'Kanon's reward calculations have now been improved. The crystalline corrupted Hunlef has been altered slightly. Ranged will always be the first attack style. Damage has been increased when praying incorrectly or not at all, and damage has been reduced when praying correctly. Note, as this will affect the competition, please see the Gauntlet competition section below for more information. How do you think? So one thing I'm not a huge fan of with the Gauntlet is, so if you don't know what the fight, the Hunlef, he goes between ranged and mage, and it's every 4 attacks, he switches to the other.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the mechanic of every X amount of attacks, they switch to their other attack style?
We've seen it before with the Hydra. The whole counting game thing. And
even the demonic gorillas.
Yeah. So it's in the game. I don't mind it because it's another thing that you have to count for, or that you have to, like, factor in, because ultimately, like, when you talk about PVM skills or even just general skills in the game, because it's a point and click game, a lot of it is mental. And so a lot of time, like Inferno, if you're quote unquote good at the Inferno, that doesn't mean you click your mouse harder than anyone. It means you have more accurate clicks, I guess, but more importantly, your decision making is better.
Yeah.
You're able to think on the fly. And the big thing is this concept of solving the waves. And to bring this back to the Hunlef, one of the ways that you can vary up the decision making or your mental, like, fortitude in Oldschool is by keeping track of more things. So when you have a counting mechanic like that, it means you have to keep track of one thing on top of everything else. So you have to watch your prayer, you have to watch your HP, you have to watch your prayer points, make sure both your overhead and your prayer points are right. And then for the Hunlef, you have to watch the boss's overhead prayer, just like demonic gorillas. And now with the counting mechanic, you have to also keep it in the back of your mind, as well as watching for the floor, making sure which parts are lava or whatever, and the tornadoes that follow you, the crystal purple, like weird, you know, the shadow crystal things that follow you around?
Yeah.
So for the Hunlift, it has like 4, 5, maybe 6 things you have to juggle in your mind to where you say, okay, my health is safe, my prayer is safe, and you have to like constantly keep track of everything. That being said, the big issue everyone had with the Gauntlet is how RNG heavy it was. Mm-hmm. And it didn't help that you walk in with the boss, and before they made any of the changes on release, you walk in and it's a 50-50 chance that you either get smacked for a 50 or you have the right prayer on. And because before the update where they changed the way the overhead prayers work so that you get penalized more for having the wrong prayer, but it didn't hurt you as harsh if you had the right prayer up. Like, the most frustrating thing would sometimes be you guess right and you go in, you pray range, and it hits you with range and you still get hit for like a 35. And you're just like, God damn it, you know?
Yeah, okay. So the reason I brought it up is because I found like the mechanic, for me, I don't entirely mind it, but I'm not the biggest fan of it, and I hope it doesn't become a thing for when each boss comes out, that every boss has this mechanic, because at least for me, I have to like not physically, but you know, I have to sit there and count 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, switch, and I to me that just becomes tedious after a while. Mm-hmm. So, like Hydra, and it comes down to like I don't count it in my head, and I just kind of try to get a feel. Well, I think he did it 3 shots, so I'm going to switch prayers.
And with the Hydra, the special attacks that it does don't count for the auto attacks changing.
That's right, yeah.
Hits. And so I play with game sounds. I know I'm like the only player in the history of this game to play with game sounds. Sue me.
I will say if you're bossing, though, it helps a lot.
Yeah, it definitely helps. And one of the things is like for Hydra, because the 2 auto attacks have different sounds, you can literally listen for the different attack sounds, and then you're not even counting like the hits. You're counting the sound effects. Mm-hmm. So like you just say, okay, I heard that 3 times and I should probably switch now. But for the Hunlift, I get your frustration because when he does a special attack, it counts as one of his attacks. So you can't even go by the sound. You can't even go by what you see. You just have to keep track of the auto attacks and then factor in like, oh, he just did a spec. Oh, I walked underneath him and he melee'd me for 40. Does that count as an attack? Oh my God. And now I'm lost. Oh, and the problem is once you're behind, you literally like, it's so hard to get back in the groove because then you don't know how many attacks you've tanked before you switched. So I feel your pain there, yeah.
But yeah, moving on. The seemingly innocent rabbit in Gwyneth can no longer be blocked by a player. So I guess that rabbit that we talked about last episode.
Yeah.
Seemingly innocent. Skeletons and zombies in Glariel's tomb have returned from vacation. Love the wording. Moss giants will once again attack as expected if you get too close. So it must have been some weird oversight.
Yeah, they accidentally took out all the aggressive monsters, or they removed the aggression from the monsters in the waterfall.
Yeah.
People were outraged. They thought it was intentional.
Yeah, it's weird how that happens, but hey, if you're a hardcore Iron Man, it's a solid week of getting those quests done. Next we're on is Zolcano's reward calculations. Players who contributed a fair amount now receive a drop on Zolcano's better loot table. The quantities of items have scaled based how much they have contributed. Everybody above a certain threshold of contributing will also have a chance of receiving any of the unique drops, including the pet. This chance scales based on much. This chance scales based.
Yeah, there's a typo.
Yeah, based on how much a player has contributed. The MVP still receives Zolcano's additional drop, but from the lesser drop table, closing the previously wide gap between the highest contributor and everybody else. This design is aimed to maintain the incentive to be the highest contributor, but improve the fairness of the system. So kind of like what you were talking about last episode, where the MVP receives the pet, it seems like there's just you just have to do a certain amount of work, right?
Yeah. I don't know. From what it sounds like, It sounds ideal because it sounds like if you contribute a certain percent of the boss's HP instead of a flat threshold. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
It would be better if, let's say you contributed 20% of the kill and then the MVP contributed 40% and you're the only two players who can like get that. But if they made it so that everybody who did X amount of damage gets like the chance at the pet and the unique drop table, it sounds similar, but that means there's less of a room for someone to overtake you, because it scales. It's not on a flat rate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's percentage, right? Yeah.
So if you contribute, so even if you're the MVP and you know it for sure, there's still an incentive for you to keep going and to like try and compete with others, which is nice because it means you can't cheat the system too much. So if you have 5 friends doing it together, the MVP can just stop and say, okay, I got past the threshold. Now we can all get past the threshold.
Yeah, it's almost what happens at Wintertide, where people hit the 500 points and then they're just like, okay, I'm done. And they walk to the doors.
Yeah, leeches.
Yeah, bastards. Now onto the quest changes. Opening the world map within the Grand Library during Song of the Elves now displays a map of all levels. That is useful. I think RuneLight has the feature where you can see it, but it's definitely not as nice as the world map. There was an issue with one of the pillars in the Grand Library that would let you place a mirror in the incorrect position, but this has been fixed. The doors in the Mourner hideout can be opened without requiring a key after completing the Battle of West Ardone during Song of the Elves.
Oh, this could be big.
Why?
For that 1% of players who, for some reason, have 90 Slayer but no Slayer rings, and they need to get to Dark Beast for a Slayer task. I don't know.
Okay, there might be someone. Maybe some Ultimate Iron Men, right?
Maybe, yeah.
They don't want to clog up their inventory with a ring. Some typos were fixed during the quest dialogue. Missing tinderbox spawn in the dwarf camp in the underground pass has now been found. Okay. The changes to fail rates of the obstacles within the underground pass has been reverted. So they made it a lot easier to get through the underground pass. Like, I thought they just made it so during the quest you couldn't fail the obstacles, but it turns out even in doing underground pass, you weren't able to really fail.
Yeah, I'm glad they changed it back.
Yeah, and I'm glad I got the quest done, so I don't have to deal with that shit.
I don't want people to suffer.
Yeah. Changes to the city, Privdinas. A crystal impling will no longer hide away between some trees and Privdinas. You can no longer remove bonds from the pouch while in the gauntlet. Players can now make crystal harpoons through crystal singing, provided that they have the correct items to make it. 3 Chinchampas have escaped from Gwyneth, and the remaining spawns have been moved slightly. You can now trade noted seeds with Pennant. Pennant now has a don't ask again option, and the Prifdina's gardener has regained his sense of direction and now properly describes his north and south allotments.
That's they had Slayer Music 1 as their gardener for a time being.
Yeah. True.
Point you to the south one and say north.
Screwing up people all over the place. Poll changes. Oh, this is the big one. Elena's chat head has been changed to the variant that was selected in the recent opinion poll. That's weird that they don't really tell you which one.
Yeah. At least give us a link or something.
You have to go check.
You just have to guess.
So option C, which was
the compromise.
Oh, in the middle ground.
Yeah,
it's fair. And the agility cores have been increased to 60k experience at level 90 when not using shortcuts, and to 66k experience an hour at level 90 while using shortcuts.
Have you gone back to the agility course?
I haven't gone back, but I've done a few runs.
I actually really like it.
Yeah?
Yeah, like it actually, I don't know why, but it's like Pyramid Plunder for me all over again. Like I can see myself getting 99 agility there.
It's not bad. I did a few runs and I was like, okay, this is better than the other ones, because And a lot of people felt the same way, and they say a lot of people agreed that it was because you're not running in a circle.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Do you know what makes it more fun for you?
I think it's a combination of things. It's like the fact that you're not doing the same circle over and over again, like you said, because of the teleport shortcuts. The fact that you have a personal best that you grind for that also like helps you get the max XP rates because you're like, I want to go as fast as I can, see if I can get my personal best.
Yeah, that's true. That's another fun one.
So I get really immersed in video games. I like really immersive games, like Skyrim and stuff. So I always like my character is the only character in the game that looks like the player that's controlling them, I guess. Everyone else is just some random girl. We know that they don't exist in RuneScape.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, so I like, this is really weird, but I enjoy my character doing fun stuff, like training agility in some elf ninja, like jungle. Sounds cool as hell. So I don't mind doing it. Mm-hmm. Whereas Motherlode Mine actually gives me depression. That's such a random issue for me, but I actually like, it fills me with dread doing Motherlode Mine. That's why I hate mining.
Oh, I don't mind it. That's because it's AFK and I'm playing RimWorld on the side or something.
It's just you're stuck underground. It's dark. You're depressed.
Oh.
You're literally like, it literally makes me feel like one of those like people working for $2 a day in Chile at the mines or something, where you just like any gold you find, you have to give in to this dude. This one white.
You're method-scaping.
I guess. I don't know. That's why I like Perftiness, though, because it's like I'm a cool elf ninja, like jumping from building to building. I don't mind the rooftops normally, but they do get repetitive.
Yeah. Understandable. So who knows? Maybe I will get 99 agility one day.
I know that's your big thing.
Yeah, I'm dreading it. Because I gotta get the 90 grind, 85 at least, and I don't know. I gotta get my hunting up just so I can get the Tears of Gothix experience into it. Anyways, moving on with some smaller changes. Nothing too important to mention except for the Dragonstone gauntlets had a strength bonus of 8, but it's been changed to +4. That's about it. But they also mentioned earlier that they had the gauntlet competition on who could get the best times. They're giving away some pro gamer. Where's the name here? They were giving away.
Did I even mention the chair?
It's just a picture of it. A pro GT gaming chair. I think that's. Oh, it says no. I don't see it. That's what I'm pretty sure it was called. Branded with Oldschool.
It's a gamer chair.
Yeah, it's a gamer chair. That's all you need to know. If you're a gamer, then you want one of these chairs. Okay, so first chair was rewarded to the fastest normal gauntlet pre-change. Oh, what the fuck? Why does it not say it here?
Because it's in the next blog.
Oh. We'll come back to that. Never mind.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. So small game improvements. The fletching animation. It's been added for players who are fletching arrows, bolts, darts, or just adding feathers to shafts. So that's kind of cool. Do they have a little GIF of it?
Yeah, these animations look really nice.
I hope they do it for a lot of things, because when I'm playing the hardcore Iron Man, I noticed like making pies, you're cooking nothing. I think it would be cool to have it so you're actually holding whatever you're cooking and putting it over the range.
Yeah.
It never bothered me until...
Like the cooking skill cape. I think the cooking skill cape has a pie in the emote.
Oh, weird.
You know when you like do the cooking skill cape emote and your character like flips meat and then it turns into a pie and then it turns into something else like a fish or something?
Yeah. Getting lazy, Jagex. That's okay.
Speaking of lazy, have you noticed how these headings just get less and less like formal?
What do you mean?
They go from like NPC changes, Zalcano's reward calculations, Perftiness changes, and then we get back to here and it's reduced chaos elemental respawn timer. The grammar isn't even like...
Yeah. Just like slapping that's basically what happened. The chaos elemental now spawns quicker. From 2.5 minutes to 60 seconds. 2.5 minutes was ridiculous, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe they purposely had it a longer wait time to make you want to world hop, which means you might bump into PKers.
Yeah. I don't like having world hopping as a valid mechanic. So, yeah, this is good.
Yeah, 60 seconds. That's still long enough. Where people might want to world hop anyways because it'll still be quicker. Volcanic Mine Quick Start. You can now right-click to enter volcanic mines. Cool. Or you can right-click to pay instantly. Multiple locator orbs. You can now have multiple locator orbs. I see what you're saying.
These are getting less and less, like, substantial with every section.
Yeah.
We've gone from, like, a paragraph each to just... Like, they could have just left the text out and kept the heading.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They're getting lazy. They got lazy on this one near the end there.
They just passed it off to an intern.
Yeah, that's what they did. But yeah, what I learned about Locator Orb, which I learned some odd weeks ago, but it's a better version of a rock cake. That's why people like it, and they want multiples of them for Nightmare Zone. Yeah.
There's a lot of cool mechanics that you can do with the Locator Orb as well.
Oh yeah? What do you mean?
So, Verzik has an attack where she throws a ball at you that deals 74 health damage. You can't tick-eat it, except with a Locator Orb.
Oh, really?
So, what you do is if you get the Locator Orb, for some reason, if you have one with you at Verzik, if you get the 74 Death Ball, you just wait until it's about to hit you. You tick-eat. You hit the Locator Orb with Redemption on. It'll activate your Redemption, but the orb, the Death Ball, will only hit for how much you had before you used the orb.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I think you could do that in a couple other places. I don't know if you could do it in the Inferno. I don't know anybody who wants to try.
Interesting. Huh, I guess you learn something new every day. Yeah. So now we're going to move on to the poll blog for some of the Song of the Elves future changes. A lot of it comes from the day one report. Stuff like with Elena's chat head. They want to revisit a bunch of the other character models throughout the quest, which rightfully so. They start off by saying, we're not offering to revert all elf models back to the original because we want to maintain a consistency in style. Many of the elves introduced with Song of the Elves were brand new, so their current appearances are their current. That's the original appearance. So basically, they're not saying, hey, we're not going to put the old models back, but we'll make it a little bit more digestible, I guess. Less of a shock. So the first things first is Lord Iorwerth. He's got like a purplish skin. So the first poll is asking if they should change it to a white skin
for all Iorwerth elves, not just the Lord. Actually,
oh yeah, sorry, you're right. All Iorwerth elves.
We talked about this as well.
Yeah, they're gonna adjust some of the facial features to make him seem less villainous, and I guess something like their eyebrows and cheekbones kind of made them all the Iorwerth elves look a bit evil, I guess. Yeah. They reminded me of a Disney villain.
Yeah. Jafar.
So, it'll make them look a little bit more normal looking.
What's your opinion on the new changes?
I like what I'm seeing with a lot of them.
I actually really like these.
Yeah, me too.
I really, really like these changes.
I think it looks it looks good. The thing that I liked their new graphic models, but I totally agree that I didn't like how they had the purple skin, the whole Twitch Prime skin, because they just looked they looked like Disney villains. And you can they looked and you're like, "Oh, these are the bad guys of the quest." They always look angry. Yeah. So now they look more friendly. Now you can choose what side are you really on.
I think the new chat heads look really, really nice as well, because that's like the perfect thing where the elves have their own distinct style, but it's so old school RuneScape. Like, it looks so good in my opinion. It keeps with the aesthetic of old school RuneScape. You can tell it like fits into the current game way more than the old chat heads with the less defined cheekbones and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. It looks good. It looks very old school RuneScape, as you said, but it also looks, sometimes I complain, or sometimes I don't like the graphics looked straight from 2003 when they switched from RuneScape Classic to RuneScape 2, I guess. Yeah. But this looks like, hey, this is the 2019, little nicer. So poll question 2.
Poll question 2 is the chat head one.
Or no, poll question 2 is I think it's the full body. Is it
no, so poll question 2 is which style of chat head do you prefer from the options above?
Oh, you're right.
Poll question 3 is for the
right. Yeah, I misread that. Okay, sorry. Poll question 1 is just to do with the skin color. Poll question 2, you'll have to go to the dev blog itself to look at the 2 different chat head models. So poll question 3 is just for Lord Isleworth's character model. Obviously, option A, it's the what he's currently wearing. Option B, if you haven't done the quest, his robe is kind of like a purplish, a maroon color. So option B is it's going to be a blue color instead. Then option C, he's wearing no robe and it's just kind of like an elven armor. I don't know.
Yeah, the robe makes him look like a unit. I wish there was a way to keep the robe but remove the weird spikes on his shoulders.
Yeah, that's weird that they don't have it. It's got the World of Warcraft shoulder armor.
Yeah. I wish there was a D, which is just the robe.
Yeah,
but
they really
for option
should.
C.
Weird.
Well, I'm unsubscribing.
Where my $11 is going. So you can vote on them out of the 3 that you'd like. But again, you have to go to the actual dev blog to see. They bring up here that Priestess Zol how the fuck do you say this?
Zol Gwenwinig.
She was accidentally changed during the Song of the Elves launch, and they want to revert it. This is that's the priestess at Zulrah, the Zulrah camp. Yeah. So I guess revert it to its original. Poll question 4 has to do with the Dragonstone armor. Many people were unhappy with the Dragonstone armor because it looks like it's from RuneScape 3. You mentioned last episode how it really has the RuneScape 3 coloring model with the tri-colors.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way to put it. So this poll question is saying, do you want to keep it as it is or this new the new version? Again, you got to look at the pictures. It kind of looks like it's smoother, and the helmet looks like it's Spartan or the Tyrell helmet.
Yeah, the most notable thing, the easiest way to tell like how big of a difference this is from like the RS3 style to the like more in line with OSRS is just look at the jewels, look at the Dragonstones.
Yeah, good call. Poll question 5 is about the Blade of Saeldor. People found that the Blade of Saeldor, they were running through their charges too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's asking, poll question 5 is asking if they should increase the number of charges to 20,000. And this is for all crystal items. So crystal armors and the Blade of Saeldor. Are you rocking the Blade of Saeldor?
Not really.
Do you have one?
I don't really have no, I don't have a need for it.
Oh,
I'm not going to use it anywhere, but
okay.
I think this is a decent change. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can buy crystal shards.
No, you can't. They're untradeable. So you actually have to go run the Gauntlet or Volcano or the Agility. You have to do stuff with,
I don't know if there's like a workaround for a way you can like buy the dust and revert it to shards or anything like that. So the shards themselves are untradeable. I don't know if there's a way to game the system and like buy them somehow. But
yeah, that's a good question.
This is fine, in my opinion.
Yeah, seems good. Makes people having to actually go to Prifdina's to constantly do the content there. So poll question 6 about Blade of Sildor specifically. Again, people found they're running through the charges too quickly. So they want to increase the amount of charges you get per crystal shard. They want to increase it from 25 to 100. I don't have it, but I if people are complaining that much, and I've seen people bitch saying it's like kind of useless because you run through it so fast.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of how how annoying it was to use the blade, you could only use it for less than 2 hours of combat.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's huge.
So Barrows degrades after 15 hours. So for like a decent frame of reference, imagine every time you repair your Barrows equipment, you'd have to have repaired recharged your blade 8 times in between.
Yeah, that's fucked. You'd probably spend more time grinding the crystals.
Exactly, because you can't repair it with money or anything. You have to just sit there and grind the crystals.
Yeah. It's weird.
You have to literally, I think you get like 50 shards an hour, roughly. So,
wow.
Yeah,
okay.
You'd spend almost as much time charging the blade as using it.
So that'll give you, it still takes 4 hours to get your 20,000 charges, but I mean, you'll make money along the way too. So it's not the worst. The last poll question, number 7, has to do with the dungeon. Should the creatures found within the Isleworth dungeon be leveled up to match the kinds currently found in the catacombs of Kourend? To make them a little bit stronger.
On this?
Sorry?
What's your opinion on this?
Like, I know they said that they were stronger versions of the original, of the originals, but maybe they're like in between the Kourend versions.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I don't really have one either, because a lot of people who are going to be fighting them are going to be higher anyways, higher levels. But my question is their loot table going to be better if they're stronger?
Yeah.
You'll get more experience, but will you get better loot?
Give me 1 sec here. Let me see exactly what monsters we're talking about.
I know dark beasts are there. Although those won't get changed.
Dark beasts, Kurasks, Necreals, Bloodfelds, Water Fiends, and Moss Giants. The biggest one there, the 2 big ones. Necreals.
Yeah.
And Kurasks. Because I didn't even recognize this, but this means you can actually, like, cannon Kurasks. Wait. I don't think you can, actually, because they won't be damaged with anything except for the leaf-bladed weapons.
Yeah, that's true.
The big thing this affect is the Necreals. Do they have the Slayer Tower drop table, or do they have the Greater Necreal drop table if they were to change them? The ones in the Catacombs are called Greater Necreals. They have a different drop table. They drop better stuff. They drop less seeds and more rune armor, more alchables. Mm-hmm. And they don't specify, they just say, should they be leveled up? I assume this means that they're going to change them to the Greater Necreals, I guess. But this actually, like, you can cannon them in a single way spot now in the Isleworth dungeon, which means you could you don't have to bring Ice Barrage so the Slayer XP per hour won't be as fast, obviously, because it's not multi-way. But it means you could alch a lot more of your drops if you don't have, like, Lumberge Elites done.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Because you don't need to bring Ancients. This is interesting. I think it gives another way to do Necreals.
It's another option.
Seems fine with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are still going to choose Catacombs unless they prefer to...
If they need the crystal shards, then they'll probably just be like, all right, I guess I'll go grind it here. But I think by default, people will still go to Catacombs because it's multi-way and in getting the shards for Skatizo.
Yeah.
Or the totem pieces. That's all the polls that are going to be coming up for Song of the Elves. Now on to what we got updated into the game today. So I guess this is the big one. They revamped the interface for smithing and silver crafting. They didn't change a whole lot, but they just made it so you have the make all interface with it. So it's I think this is pretty big for smithing because I was doing a bunch of smithing earlier and it was kind of a pain in the ass. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it's just tedious having to not being able to just one click it like you can with every other skill. Well, you just click darts and you're going to go through your whole inventory. Instead, you had to right click, go to make all. So I like this. It's kind of nice and it's being consistent. Any strong feelings?
I like the new update in terms of the interface.
Yeah.
It just modernizes the game a little bit.
Yeah.
With some of the more tedious things, like you said. We already had this in the game for gold. Nobody's training silver. Nobody's training crafting or smithing through silver items, I don't think, unless you're an Iron Man who's low on gold bars or something. So it doesn't seem that annoying. If you're doing smithing, if you're trying to train, nobody is like smithing dart tips for XP. You just go to do blast furnace. But I know when I was like commuting to and from work, I would do dart tips or like at work, allegedly.
Yeah.
If my boss listens to this, I didn't. But hypothetically, if I were to be AFKing at work, hypothetically, in between assignments, I would hypothetically make darts. But the problem was when you go to, hypothetically speaking, of course, but if you go to make darts, it's really annoying because you have to constantly right-click make all. And sometimes when your hypothetical boss walks behind you to get to the bathroom and you linger because you're trying to find the all option, it's annoying. So for anybody there who is hypothetically considering this, I'm going to stop saying that, but for anyone there who's considering this, it's just going to be more convenient to just like do darts.
I know.
Now,
I would do this on my laptop basically on my laptop when I was at work and working on going through emails and stuff. And that was the thing. It was a huge pain in the ass to have to right click. It's a small thing, but when you're working alongside of playing RuneScape, you're like, okay, let's just make it as fluid as possible. I just want to be able to quickly boom, click it, move over. I don't have to want to right click and then. Now that I'm complaining about it, it does seem very nitpicky. But it's you'll understand if you had to do it. Yeah,
it's one of those things where people like talk about power creep, and the way to get like power creep in the game, there are two ways, right? You either increase the max experience per hour. I guess power creep isn't the right word. I guess devaluing experience rates.
Sure.
There are two ways to do it. You either increase the experience per hour, and Rs3 did both of these things. So with things like bonus experience and new ways to train, they increase the maximum possible experience you could get if you were being a sweat lord sitting at your chair 16 hours a day, shitting yourself at smithing. Nice meme. But the other way is to have a baseline increase for the average experience per hour for your average player. So what that means is making a bunch of quality of life changes that won't ever break like EHP rates and make it the best XP per hour, but it makes it so that your average player gets more experience per hour just in general. And this is a fine line. I think this is on the side of being good for the game rather than being bad. What would be bad is if they made it so that it's just a one click, like you click on the anvil and you AFK through it or something, where it becomes a mindless chore, or it makes it faster to somehow do this. But with something like this is like right on the edge. For me, it's good to have something be less tedious if it doesn't break the game. Yeah. There's a fine line, but I think when it comes to skilling or any part of this game, we have to remember that this is still supposed to be a game. We shouldn't try and put these like fake community-based obstacles on things and say, well, this is getting too easy now. People are gonna, God forbid, they're gonna have fun and not hate themselves doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is unacceptable.
Make it a little bit easier to do, because most people who are smithing darts aren't like, oh man, this is I'm having so much fun right now. The people who are like having fun, it's because they're setting the goals and they're hitting those goals and they're at blast mine or the blast furnace. They're not doing, these are for the people who are like, well, I need to get 90 smithing anyways, and I'll just do it while I'm at work or I'm at school. I'll do it on my phone.
Yeah, hypothetically.
Yeah, hypothetically. Who really does that? But moving on, talking about fun, teeth farming. You can now left click the crops to water them.
Yeah, this breaks the game.
Yeah, it's game breaking.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, this is literally dead content. Nobody does this, so both these changes are fine.
But here's a reason why you might do it. Beloga's blessings now give... she now gives you 10 blessings for 1 point instead of 1 blessing for 2 points. This is huge, and I've read that people are able to get like really high numbers of Zamorak wines, because that's what you need Beloga's blessings for. You grow your grapes, and then you have to use the blessings on the grapes to turn them into Zamorak grapes, and you can turn them into Zamorak wines. So people, I've been reading that people are able to get a shit ton of those.
Yeah. Just to put it again in perspective, this content was so dead that they literally made the rewards 20 times higher.
Yeah. Big change.
That's how dead this was.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very small community of like maybe 2 people.
Yeah.
Back on to ecumenical keys. So Aviancies now drop ecumenical keys in the God Wars dungeon located in the wilderness. If you don't know, to kill a God Wars boss, you need to get 40 kill count from whatever boss, like their troops, I guess. Their
followers.
Their followers. So Zamorak, you'd kill Zamorak men outside to get your kill count. Then you can go and fight Krill Tutsaroth, the Zamorak boss. Unless you have an ecumenical key, which you get from the Wilderness God dungeon, and that allows you to bypass the kill count, because there's getting kill count for some bosses just sucks. Mainly Kriera, the Armadillo boss. A lot of people will just go grind out keys to go do that boss, and most people keep a spare key in case they die. Anyways, yeah, I guess Aviancies before never dropped them, which I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah.
I just thought I was super unlucky when I was out there grinding them. Yeah. And then on the topic of keys, the drop rate and timers. The drop rate of the keys is now 1 out of 60, regardless of how many you already have. The timer that was in place to stop players getting multiple ecumenical keys within 2 minutes of each other has been removed. Didn't know that either. And the total number of keys you may own at a time has not been changed. So I wonder if doing the Wilderness Achievement Diaries, if this just makes it the drop rate just increases your chance of getting it overall.
It might be that that's the problem, is they don't like mention if they factor this stuff in. Yeah. So the Wilderness Achievement Diaries give you better drop rates.
Yeah, it's
for
like
the keys, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me see. I'll go to Elite.
No, they give you access to more keys, not better drop rates. That's right.
Oh, and the keys just became more rare the more you got.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And now back to Song of the Elves, some more tweaks. So Zolcano's symbol now take slightly longer before dealing damage. The damage taken when standing beneath Zolcano after she's been knocked down has been reduced. The quick pass option on Zolcano's prison barrier has been removed as it served a limited purpose. Yeah, not sure why that even mattered. The falling rocks during Zolcano's encounter now deal damage when hitting the floor rather than the player, to be consistent with other similar mechanics. Zolcano now takes a consistent amount of time to destroy the glowing rocks. Zolcano's death animation has been extended to prevent her from reappearing for a brief moment. And the drops from the golem will now only be given to the player who deals the most damage, because before they dropped and anyone could snag them. So seems fair, I guess. I don't see anything, no major changes there. For the gauntlet, when creating items within the gauntlet, the interface will now remain open as long as you have the ingredients. Killing a duplicate tier 3 creature within the gauntlet will now give you a guaranteed chance to drop a different weapon component as long as you don't have the original one. So you have to you craft a bunch of armor and weapons in the gauntlet, and you can upgrade them 3 times. They'll have basic, attuned, and then perfect. For the armor, it just requires more ingredients for the perfect. But for the weapons, you need to get one specific item, which you get from killing. They call them tier 3 creatures. So there's a dragon, a bear, and a dark beast. And dragon drops the perfect magic item. The bear is melee, and then the dark beast is range. And because it's so RNG, sometimes you would find 2 dragons, and it was kind of frustrating because if you wanted, you don't need 2 magic weapons. So now it'll drop the another version. And then the scoreboard in the gauntlet lobby has been extended to display your deaths and the global deaths for each version of the gauntlet. Cool. I like the theme of having all these stats with some of the PVM content.
Yeah. That's nice. It's not bad changes overall to Volcano and Gauntlet.
Yeah, they seem pretty minor.
I'm glad they're fixing it now, because what they used to do is take months to change certain things.
Well, it's like they want to gather data when it's like you can just sit there and you can see it. Crystal weapons and shields with 2,500 charges will now stack in the bank. Know that these will not automatically stack in the bank after you log in, but will be converted when they are equipped or they gain or lose any charges. That was a complaint on day one, is that people would have like their bank filled because they had 20 shields or something.
Yeah.
So that was a weird one. And now for the gaming chair, the Gauntlet competition. We mentioned that earlier, but they gave 4 old school GT Omega Pro gaming chairs out. And here are the winners. So the standard Gauntlet, before they changed it, was Playgrounds with 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Corrupted Gauntlet, before they changed it, was Veluca with 5 minutes and 35 seconds. The standard Gauntlet, after they changed it, was Calvino with 3 minutes and 12 seconds. So they were able to shave off 30 seconds almost. Corrupted Gauntlet after changes was, of course, Wooks with 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So congrats on your new Omega Pro gaming chairs. I do like how they have those fun little competitions with new content.
Yeah, hopefully in 5 years they'll finally receive the item, and we can see them take pictures with them.
Yeah, that's a big one too. Like if they struggle to give out like gift baskets and mouse pads, I can't imagine a full on chair. Yeah. But it's Wooks, so if I'm sure they're gonna have to we have to get these out.
I'm wondering how they're gonna do it if some of these guys are like US based, EU based,
yeah.
How the hell are you gonna get that through shipping?
Yeah, that's gonna be a bitch. It's gonna be expensive.
Oh well.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. Some interesting news, or at least plans for the future, and it's about the new player experience that we talked about in May. They brought up some things that they want to hit on, but I guess this is just further expanding it. In that dev blog, they talked about getting around the map, and they wanted to bring out a transportation system. But that wasn't a very popular idea. So they don't think they're going to implement any new transportations for new players. But they also mentioned about making the idea of making agility available to free-to-play players. That's a big one, a new free-to-play skill. Whereas that reaction was pretty positive with the community. So they haven't fully explored the idea, but they might implement it at some time. They might.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts about agility being a free-to-play skill?
I don't really think it solves the issue that they're trying to do. I think it's just going to be one of those things that it's a band-aid. Like we talked about this in a ramble. I don't really know if this fixes anything because the agility won't really be high enough to matter, like in terms of fixing the run issue. And it's another band-aid where they're not addressing the issue of run energy. It makes traveling in free-to-play so tedious. I like the cart system. Why can't you just pull a bunch of newbie free-to-play players into a cart and then have like carts running to and from Varrock and Lumbridge? Maybe not Varrock and Lumbridge, because I know the Dark Wizard thing is a rite of passage. You have to get PK'd by them.
Drops you off right in front of the farm that's right in front of that area.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Or like before the Draenor Highway, there's one, and then there's a highwayman there, and then after there's one or something. Or maybe that's where you have a pit stop and you have to switch carts or something.
So I love that idea, and I talked about it before where I played a bunch of different MMOs, and a lot of them have the idea of you have to wait for this cart or this air balloon or this train, and then you would all sit on the train together, and it takes you, 5 minutes to get to your destination. I like a cart system. I think it would be cool having to wait for the cart to show up. You can jump on with a handful of other players, and then you have to sit in the cart itself, and it will bring you there. Kind of like the canoe system, but it's all real time, and it'll, I guess, maybe faster paced than running.
Mm-hmm.
But this way you can add in cool things where, like, the highwayman, he stops your cart and tries to rob the cart, and now you all have to fight him together or something. I don't know.
That would be pretty cool. That would be super fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Like fun stuff like that makes the world feel more alive. But the one thing that I think agility would be good for is some of the obstacles.
Yeah, I guess.
So there's a few areas playing on the hardcore Iron Man that I'm constantly like, oh, it'd be nice to be able to get. To be able to, I don't know, use the obstacle here, but I can't because, agility's members. So there's a bunch of areas that I could see it being kind of useful for. But that's the thing. I don't think of agility as increasing your energy because it does so little. It does from level 1 versus 99, but like I don't know. It doesn't feel like it.
I'm just reading through this blog, and they mention obviously the transportation system.
Yeah.
That they said most people didn't like, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Just so happens that ours is better than theirs. But
which is usually how it works.
Well, welcome to politics. But anyway, let's not address that. They have a couple of things. So for this adventure path, this sounds a lot like the RS3 system that replaced Achievement Diaries. Do you know, like, the RS3... They have, like, a rune score system or some shit?
Yeah. And they have, they'll have, like, a menu that pops up, and it'll have, like, 4 things to choose from, which, not sure how I feel about that exact system in Oldschool Runescape, but I like it for Runescape 3. When I try to play that game, I'm completely lost. But it allows me to click what I'm interested in, and it will show me what to do, basically. So it'll be like, do you want to kill shit? Do you want to do quests? Do you want to train skills? Or do you want to, I don't know, do something else? But it'll give you like 4 options. Then you just click one, and it's like, oh, you want to do quests? Here's a quest you could do right now, and it would be it's a good idea if you did it. If you're like, I want to kill shit. Oh, you can kill goblins. So here is where you can go kill goblins, and it shows you where to go.
Yeah.
So I like that. And then you complete it, and then you get little XP boosts. Which
maybe not the XP boost part.
Yeah.
People will say this screams RS3. I would argue some of the content that people love doing in this game is ripped directly from RS3. So that in itself shouldn't be the issue. The issue is like we should be able to think about it in a vacuum and ask, is this going to be good for OSRS? Instead of saying, is this RS3? So they talk about how they want to offer untradeable versions of certain items, but there's a bunch of issues with that about people not being able to distinguish between untradeable and regular items, and like a whole bevy of issues that would come from that confusion. So they talk about introducing new tiers of armor, training armor, which I think I have an idea for how they could implement this and keep it so that you still have, they say they want to preserve the look and feel of armor. What if they didn't give you new sets of armor, but they gave you one set of armor that you can upgrade?
I was just thinking, like, why not it be like the training armor, how it's like blue and white?
Yeah.
How you get the bow and the sword.
Maybe you start, okay, so we already have all white armor in the game, but maybe you start with like a light blue armor or something, and then as you progress through the tiers, it gets like a white trim, it gets a white shoulder pad, I don't know, and like more and more detail added onto it.
Yeah, and then maybe so that people aren't like maybe it could break at a certain point, you know? So that you're like not, well, I'm just going to stick to this. Like, no, at some point you can't use this and you have to go and actually get better gear.
That would be nice.
But
the thing here is that they're going to offer, like, these are going to be tradable. And they say the value will be under 10K with a maximum of 15K. I wonder how long it would take for a brand new account to finish these tasks, though. That's the big question.
Well, I know they are, like, they haven't fully decided yet, but they're playing with also having untradables. Oh, well, anyways, let's back up real quickly, because when we were talking about the RuneScape 3 system, this would be something similar, where it'd be like, I don't know, get level 5 attack, and it'd say you completed it, go talk to the training guide, and he'll give you a new weapon, right? And he might give you this shitty steel sword kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they would have that for a bunch of different things, so that a player would know, like, hey, I could, I have some guidance. I know if I want to train fishing, it'll kind of tell me, go fish a shrimp, go fish, I don't know, go fly fish something. And so they're playing with what the rewards should be when completing a task, which it could be untradable versions of armor up to steel. And then this way, someone could have like a full set of steel, but it'd be untradable. And same idea, but with bronze arrows and mine runes, but they would both be untradable. They're playing with the idea of having in brackets UN in the name of the name of the item to show that it's untradable, kind of like how you have it with imbued.
They said, yeah, that's the whole bevy of issues that comes with it.
They have here, and it says, we want to avoid confusion as much as possible to avoid players leaving the game through frustration. It's important to remember that this update's purpose is to engage new players. We looked at the possibility of creating new items, like tiers of new training armor. However, the look and feel of the armor and weapon is key to old school RuneScape's nostalgia, and we feel that adding new equipment at an early stage might take that away. We also considered the level up messages. A new player reaching level 5 defense will be told that they could use steel equipment while they had a tier of training armor. They wouldn't know whether their training armor was better or worse than steel without having them to compare it against. These considerations led us to decide to make all the rewards tradable. We are remaining extremely mindful of the rewards we give and ensuring that any equipment given is appropriate for their level range while not being best in slot. The value of the rewards must also be kept to a reasonable level. With this in mind, we promise that any rewards from completing a single task will always be under the value of 10K, with very early tasks rewarding significantly less than that. And the reward from completing an entire path of rewards will be kept to a maximum of 15K coins.
So my question is, how fast would a brand new fresh account be able to get these tasks done for the rewards? And how fast would an Iron Man, would there be a difference in speed?
So I don't know if it's mentioned here or if it was mentioned in the Q&A on Wednesday, but they did say that Iron Men wouldn't receive anything. They don't have the same. They wouldn't have the training these. Oh
yeah, Iron players won't be able to access the tasks. Okay.
Yes, the tasks won't be, and also it's important to note that this is for newer players. So any account that's currently over level 20 won't be able to do this. So you would need to be, if like your current account would need to be under 20 to even start these.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think this changes. I mean, I don't think this addresses the issue in terms of in theory it could work, but what happens when you finish these adventure paths? You start the game and you get these like tasks outlined for yourself to tell you what to do, and then you finish these adventure paths and you go from that system to a system where you're thrown into the wilderness, not the actual wilderness, but you're thrown into the wild basically. And now it's like you have to think for yourself in terms of what goals you want to do next.
So I think what they're hoping is by the time you complete the training path, you will have an idea of what you want to do in the game. Because I know I frequent the subreddit sometimes more often than others, and sometimes I'm just in a chatty mood. I want to talk some RuneScape, so I'll go on the new posts. And I used to see all the time a new player who's like, I don't know what to do in the game. It's like fun and all, but I have no direction and I'm confused. Like, what should I work on? So what I would always say is like, hey, work on Recipe for Disaster, because you can be level 3 and you can start it. And as you're working through that, you'll probably come up with your own goals that you want to work on, or you'll complete Desert Treasure and you'll have a well-rounded account. Not Desert Treasure. You'll complete Recipe for Disaster and you'll have a well-rounded account, because you will have Desert Treasure completed.
Yeah.
And you'll have like, 160 quest points you need? 175. So you'll have a bunch of quest points. You'll have a bunch of random stats leveled up. So at that point, you'll kind of know what direction and what you want to go with. So that's what I think they're bringing this out, because a lot of times a new player starts and like, this is fun, but what do I do? And why am I doing this? It's hard. And also, like, when RuneScape first came out, it was a time where people were excited to explore. I think remember, this is for the new player experience, not so much for returning players, but I mean, it will affect them as well. But for new players, they're kind of have their hand held a little bit more.
Yes, they should.
Yeah.
Again, I'm all for Jagex trying to get more players into the game. The idea shouldn't be that you make the game casual to suit all players, but the idea should be to streamline the new player process to the point where people who would fit in with the old school vibe and community are more likely to enjoy the game early on and more likely to stick around for the long haul.
Yeah.
And that's a big distinction to make, whereas RS3 just tried to appeal to everyone, and basically, I mean, some of this stuff they ripped straight from other MMOs in an attempt to kind of make it more generic.
Yeah.
Which means if it's more generic, it appeals to more people because it's more general.
Its fan base is like, this isn't what I like.
Exactly. So with a game like OSRS, where you have such a strong community that's bound together by their enjoyment of a very specialized game, you don't want to change what you do well. You don't want to change what you do badly either, because a company that tries to change what they do badly will inevitably, without realizing it, change what they do well as well. That doesn't include things like player support and like account security stuff. That's different. What I mean is in terms of the gameplay. Like, for example, RS3 realized one bad thing about the game is the grinds are too big for players to stick around when they like reach a certain level. We need to lower the grind, and that's how like they started to kill the game a little bit. So there's something to be said about realizing that there will be pros and cons to every kind of gameplay cycle, whether it's a long grind or a short one. And the idea should be not to change the gameplay cycle, but to help players realize what the gameplay is about. So with these adventure paths, if they keep mentioning to the player, these tasks, once you're done, you have to like go out and forge your own experience. Here are some ideas, like you said, with the whole Reddit thing. Like maybe they say, how about you try doing these quests next, or blah, blah, blah. Without it being too in your face. I guess that would work.
But at the same time, if somebody comes in, they're like, I want to do this. You also don't want to make them feel like, well, shit, I'm missing out on all these rewards, so I may as well, go do all these paths.
Exactly.
You want them to feel like...
Yeah. Would there be PVM tasks? Yeah. What if you're a skiller?
Yeah.
Sorry,
I was saying, like, you don't want to... Because sometimes people come in, they know what they want to do. When I first started, I was having a lot of fun training wood cutting and fire making. I don't remember why, but I just remember I like cutting down all the trees and doing that. But at the same time, I could see myself, if it's like you're doing that and you're like, okay, you've completed your wood cutting path. And I'm like, well, I want to keep doing it. But the completionist in me is telling me I should go do some rune crafting because I got to complete that path. You might feel,
You never want to, you never want to alienate certain people just because there's a PVM task. What if there are some skillers? Mm-hmm. What if there are some people who just want to kill shit and they enjoy like AFK killing goblins or something? You don't want to make them, okay, now I have to grab wheat and a pot of flour and an egg and do this quest for this dumb cook. Like, hopefully they try and keep it sandboxy.
Yeah, and they should make it if they're going to have rewards, whatever it is, make them good enough that if somebody does a task, like, oh, cool, this is nice, but also shitty enough that you're not going to feel compelled to go do it if you don't already want to do it.
I'm just wondering how good these rewards are going to be. Like,
yeah, because like 15K.
We already have a really good tier system early
on. Yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. And it's something that they're definitely not sure either, right? But yeah, the new player experience, it's a good thing that they should focus on. And yeah, it's good to have the conversation, get the conversation out there.
Yeah.
But moving away from new player experience, RuneFest 2019, they have some merch available. You can pre-order your t-shirts and hoodies. And you can even get your name on the back. I'll be real, the shirt design, it looks kind of nice. It's a volcano with a
it's the fossil island volcano. It's not that bad.
RuneFest underneath. RuneFest, it's like that's the one part that would kill it a bit, where I'm not going to wear it every day. But if it was just a volcano, I'd be like, you know what? Fuck, that's not a bad design. It looks nice. It doesn't look video gamey enough that I'm going to wear it and people are going to be like, true. Like if I wear it to work or something.
Yeah. Here's my thing with video game merch. The best video game merch, in my opinion, is ones where you don't have the logo or the name of the game.
Yeah. So
that people who play the game, like the Overwatch, I think Overwatch has a merch line with the logos of individual heroes there. That would be pretty sick, because it's like, if you play Overwatch and you see one like in public somewhere, you know, okay, that guy's an epic gamer. But everybody else is just going to be like, okay, cool t-shirt. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it works really well. Imagine you just had like the Ice Barrage ice block with 99 over it.
Sick.
Like a 99 hit splat. People who don't play RuneScape would be like, okay, whatever, it's just one of those graphic t-shirts. And people who play it would be like, fuck yeah, that looks good. And you don't have to say, yo, I'm a gamer, OSRS, Ice Barrage from OSRS, check this out. RuneScape's on the back. This says Ice Barrage spell from OSRS. You know what I mean? Like, it's not in your face.
Yeah. Like, for the video games, it needs to be... If it's retro, you normally have enough fans that are like, it's cool enough. But if it's like a video game specific shirt, it needs to be so self-aware that it's like ironically lame, and that's why you're wearing it.
Yeah.
Or it needs to be vague enough that it's not like, I don't know. It's like those anime shirts. I used to wear those a bunch in like elementary school and stuff. And with the dragons and stuff, the buttoned up shirts, and they have dragons on it and shit.
I was never that cool. I just had a Sasuke shirt.
They were pretty popular back then, but it's a different era. But yeah, for RuneFest, they don't look too bad. And then they have some merch.
Well, it's a newsletter comp.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Newsletter competition. And it says, we're hosting an email subs only competition, so keep an eye on your inbox. Winners will get their hands on a crystal bow pin and a crystal halberd keyring set. They look pretty neat. To make sure you've subscribed to our communication updates by Sunday, August 11th, by midnight UK time, and wait for an email from us on Tuesday 13th. To do this, go to your email and communication preferences in your account settings on the Oldschool RuneScape website. It's just one perk of our newsletter subscribers can enjoy, with many more coming over the next week. I think I'm subscribed, but I'm not too sure. Do you know if you are?
I don't think I am. Maybe I am, and it's just filtered to my junk folder, but I'll have to check it out.
Because I do get emails I get the Song of the Elves, email being like, this is what we added into the game. And then at the same time, I'll get emails. I used to get them every month, but they've slowed down for some reason. But it was kind of cool to say, like, this is your progress. This is how much experience you've gained this month. This is how many levels you've gained.
I remember those.
Yeah, I don't know if they still do that, but I kind of like them. So yeah, I think that's basically it. So fun stuff there. I didn't see a whole lot going on in the community. I saw that Settled and Verf, both Ultimate Iron Man content creators, YouTubers, who they make videos of their Ultimate Iron Man. Verf is stuck on Karamja, and Settled is stuck in Mauritania. They've put out bounties because they're both on this Lucky Imp grind. Mm-hmm. Now what you can do is try to scout for them, trying to find implings, and then you can let them know in their Discord. And Settled's giving 3 mil for his, and I think Verf's giving 5 mil. Yeah, they're looking for items that come from, the clue scroll table, rune crossbow, and I think some black d'hide and stuff.
Yeah, the rune crossbow is the biggest one for both of them. Yeah,
and I know Settled's offering, if you give him the Lucky Imp that has the rune crossbow, you'll get 860 mil. That were all donated by other people. So that's pretty neat, but on the other side of things, people think this is unfair since they are Ultimate Iron Men. They shouldn't be getting help from other players. Do you have any strong opinions?
At first I agreed in terms of it kind of takes away from the whole idea of the game, or the whole idea of the series, blah, blah, blah. But the more I think about it, the more I'm amenable to the idea for a couple of reasons, right? So Jimmy mentioned this in one of his series where it's like one of the exceptions he made was some super arbitrary thing of how to get soul runes in the game.
Okay.
When he was doing, I think, Watchtower or something. But at the end of the day, these guys are full-time content creators, and they're making this series for other people to enjoy. They're in the entertainment business.
Yeah.
Not the adult entertainment business. That's a totally different industry, though. But they're here to entertain. Part of that is regular content releases without compromising the integrity of the content. Because part of the entertainment is being like, wow, these guys are trapping themselves in these areas. They're putting these restrictions. I could never play the game this way, but wow, it's fun to see them do some grinds that for me are mindless, 2900. Congrats. Whereas for Settled, it was a big thing, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, they're at the stage of their accounts now, especially Settled, where it's he's done all the big grinds. The grind where he did the temple trekking, the montage of him doing all the temple treks, that was so fun to watch. That was so inspiring. I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
And I normally don't watch YouTubers. I don't watch streamers. But it was so well edited, and you could tell how much passion and time he put into it. The problem now is the next grind for him is so RNG based that he could stand to not upload another video if the only thing he's missing now is a rune crossbow. I know he still has a way to go, but if the only thing he's missing is a rune crossbow, for example, then it's shit, you're either gonna have to ask some people for help in a way that doesn't compromise the account, or we're literally gonna have to wait months and months and months potentially for him to actually find a lucky impling.
Yeah, so, and he might get bored, right? He might just be like, you know what? I don't care about this series anymore. You guys can go fuck yourselves. And he just quits, right?
Yeah. Well, at that point, if he's doing it full time, it becomes if he's doing it for a living, then I don't think it'll be so much as he gets bored as much as it just actually like gets to him so much that he decides to just pursue something else or try a different series.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I don't mind him going for this, going for this exception. He's still not breaking the restrictions on his account. He's just asking people to help him by spotting the imp links for him.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen people like do way worse, where it's like, hey, I'm a level 3 account and I'm going to try and speed run to, like, I remember there's this one video, this one random time I decided to watch an old school video, and some guy was like, let's see how fast I can make a raids account or something, or how fast I can flip items on the GE, except like he goes and tries to flip something, and then the next scene is him going, okay, these took so long to flip, so I just bought them on my main instead. It's like, what the hell? Like, the entire point of the account was to show how you can make money from a low level to become a raid account or something.
Yeah.
So it's not on that, like, it's not egregious like that. All it's doing is speeding up the rate at which Settled can deliver videos for his subscribers. So I don't mind it so much because it's not affecting their account in any way.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people are upset. Most people don't care. Because I find the way he's doing it, him, Settled, and Verve are doing it, it's like a win-win-win, which is what everyone wants to aim for. The person who finds the lucky impling, they get money. You know, the content creator, they get whatever rewards from it. And us as the audience get faster videos.
Exactly.
So I don't see any issues with it, but it's, you know, I guess, I don't know. You don't want to compromise the integrity of the video, you know, so. But I think this is a very non-issue. Now, when he gets to Theater of Blood, if he's running it and he's getting carried by a bunch of maxed accounts, then you're like, okay, this is on the way opposite side of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's about it as far as news goes. Did you see anything you want to talk about?
No, I think in our pre-pod production meeting, I mentioned this, but amazingly, we've had a week pretty much free of drama.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
The drama got all consumed by the graphics models, and then Jagex came out with, hey, this is what we want to do, and people were like, all right, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I want to mention is I was watching the Q&A this week, and they discussed basically for forwarding with the polling, how there was a huge outcry that people were using alt accounts to vote no. Jagex said that they, and I say them as a whole, they are able to see how many people are voting from one IP address. Obviously, there's people who use VPNs, so that's not always possible to get the most accurate information, but they said, for the most part, alts played a very small role when it came to swaying the votes.
Interesting.
The subreddit, they tried to do a poll at the same time to see if the Reddit votes kind of came close to what the entire RuneScape votes would be. But oddly enough, it's been quite some time since that poll had finished, and the moderators of the subreddit have yet to release the poll results, which they said they were going to the day after.
So we're never going to see them, basically.
Yeah, we probably won't. By the time they do show it, no one's going to care. People have moved on. Which I think is exactly what we're going to do, because that's it for news.
And community chatter.
And at the same time, you didn't even realize it, the teleporting back in time, because nothing happened this week.
And the end of the episode. All right, peace.
Going off script here. No, we will. Let's jump over to the lore section. This week for lore, we discuss the Nylocas and their relation to Lady Verzik. Before we talk about the Nylocas and Lady Verzik, we must first talk about where many of the vampires and Nylocas originated from. Vampirium is a different realm or plane that was the home of all vampires, as well as the Nylocas. At some point, they traveled to Gielinor and the plains of Runescape, and over time they settled in Mauritania. Lord Draken himself was once said to have described Vampirium as a world with blood-red skies and everlasting forests filled with dark wood. Nylocas are a type of giant insect that resembles something of a tick, spider, or beetle. Nylocas are seldom found alone and are often found in clusters and large groups. Lady Verzik Vitur showed much interest for these Nylocas, and when she traveled to Runescape, she brought with her the Nylocas. Nylocas are not often seen as a threat, but because they can be found in such large clusters, often they can overwhelm someone and defeat whatever they think poses as a threat. When the Nylocas arrived onto RuneScape, there were 3 different species. The Ishkairos, which are gray in color. Their shell is notably hard and covered in spines. The Ishkairos don't often grow bigger than an adult, and sharp claws can be found at the end of their legs, which they use to dispose of their foes. The next species is the Toxobolos. These Nylocas are green, and their claws have a wide leaf shape. And much like the Ishkairos, the Toxobolos grow to be about the same size. While the Ishkairos typically attack with their sharp claws, the Toxobolos are found to launch deadly spines off their shell. And the third species is the Hagios. The Hagios are blue and possess some sort of magic. Energy radiates from the exoskeleton. They seem to be the same as the other 2 Nylocas, but the Hagios are the smallest of the 3. What makes the Hagios so special? As a defense mechanism, they are able to transfer energy from themselves to their foes in some sort of dangerous magical attack. I mentioned that Lady Verzik showed great interest in these Nylocas and brought them with her when she traveled from Vampirium. Over her time in RuneScape, she learned to selectively breed these different Nylocas and over time produced 3 more species. The first of these, the Matomonos. The Matomonos are larger than the 3 original species. Their shell is a dark blood red. The Matomonos are not an aggressive Nylocas, but instead are a scavenger species, and they feast on the blood of the dead. The blood is then stored within their shell, which is what gives them their blood red color. The next species is the Athanatos. Athanatos were created from the inbreeding of the Matomonos, which makes the 2 species very similar and closely related. The Athanatos are larger than the Matomonos and will also drink the blood of the dead. However, the Athanatos are able to store blood for much longer. They can filter out the toxins from the blood that they have scavenged from the dead, but what makes them special is they have the ability to inject others with the blood. Many believe Lady Verzik is constantly being treated this way, replacing her own blood with the blood given from the Athanatos Nylocas. And the very last of these evolved species is the Vasilias. The Vasilias Nylocas are easily the most dangerous. They are larger than any of the other Nylocas, but can camouflage to take on the shape of the other 5. When camouflaging to one of the other species, their shells also take on the same perks. They can transfer blood to other people, they can shoot spines, they can take on the shape and properties, and the Vasilias is often found to change its form to adapt to its scenario. Nylocas aren't found anywhere else in RuneScape or Gielinor. Thus, there's not a whole lot known about the Nylocas. Rumors say, Lady Verzik, people tend to wonder if the Nylocas play a stronger role in Lady Verzik's life. Many wonder if the Nylocas control Lady Verzik. All right, and now we get to move on to the fun section we're going to talk about what we got going. Not really what we got going on the show. We're going to talk about Audible. And I can get a free month and a free audio book at audibletrial.com/wild. Lots of free audiobooks. Deegan's been consumed by Harry Potter. That's like all he does now. I've been reading The Black Prism. It's something I mentioned a long time ago, and I started reading, and I started listening to the audiobooks, and I just stopped. But I've actually been sitting down and actually plugging through and reading it. So I'm not using the audiobooks too much because I normally read it right before bed. But what I'm trying to get at is it's a very it's a good series. I've been enjoying it a lot. You should definitely check that out. Audio trial, audibletrial.com/wild. Free month, free audio book. Are you an avid reader at all, Magpie?
Yeah, you've asked me before.
Oh, nice.
So I mentioned like Harry Potter. My favorite audiobook is the Sherlock Holmes series. Lately, I've been reading a bunch of sports books, rereading a bunch of soccer books. I guess football, I call them, but soccer as well.
Right.
World football.
Are these like the history?
No, so they're actually a breakdown of like my favorite team's manager, the coach, and his like tactical ideas. There's no audiobook version, I don't think, which sucks, but that would be pretty cool.
They might have similar ones, and you might have noticed it the past couple episodes. You heard noticeably less vaping going on because I've quit vaping recently.
Oh, nice!
And all from a book that I was reading. My girlfriend suggested because that's how she quit, and it was Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Smoking. Then the title's kind of gimmicky, but it's a pretty good book. It's really interesting, and it talks about addiction and how we have brainwashed ourselves with smoking, and everything that we think about that we associate with smoking is only because we convinced ourselves of that. Like people think like, oh, you smoke a cigarette to relieve stress, which isn't really true. You're just craving nicotine and you feel stressed because of that. So when you smoke a cigarette, you feel like you're relieving stress, but you're really just feeding the addiction. But he breaks down a cool way. Like for that specifically, he's like, it's not like non-smokers are more stressed out. If anything, they're less stressed out. So how can smoking relieve stress when smokers are more stressed people? So it's interesting, but he really goes into it. So yeah, recommend that if you're someone who wants to quit smoking or vaping. It's a good read. And you can also support the show directly by going to patreon.com/The Wilderness Podcast. Our supporter of the week is Meltin. So thank you so much for supporting the show. We got a lot of fun things that I'm kind of excited with. I think we talked about last episode with Zyras, who is going to be going to RuneFest this year. He's got his ticket, and he's going to be planning at least to be all mic'd up and try to get some exclusive interviews with some content creators. But I'm hoping at least set aside some money each month, especially from the Patreon, and maybe get like a headset. I don't know, some sort of equipment. We can do like a one of the jobs I work. At the job I have now, I go to events for a radio station, and we'll do these things called remote broadcasts, where we set up a table and we have all this equipment, and it's basically, I'll be at like an example. I went to a beer fest and I had like a microphone, and then I can hear exactly what the guy at the radio station's saying. He'll be like, all right, you're going to go live in, 30 seconds. Boom, you're live. And I'm like, hey, Dilz over here. Great time at Beer Fest. We're hanging out at Varrock, and come say hi. We're right by the Grand Exchange. So come say hi. And, can't mention much about beer, but you just kind of go, oh, it's a great day and it's sunny out, and, people are grinding their skills. So yeah, back to you. It would be
cool if you had like a cameraman and do the thing that they do in news where it's like, they cut to the camera and they're like, okay, now it's over to extras at RuneFest with the latest updates. And like, it takes him like half a minute to get it. So he's just sitting there. Hey, thanks, Dilz. Yeah, it's great here. And it's just like, you always get that awkward pause. I love that.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Unfortunately, the budget isn't quite there yet. So cameras maybe next year. But what we might be able to do is do it all audio version. So I don't know the legality of it, how Jagex runs the operation, But I get excited, right? So I was thinking of ways. How could I do like a live?
You can guarantee we're going to push the limits.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is we're testing what we can do. Year 2 is when we're really gonna do a stress test. But I don't know if this is how we're gonna do it. But when I got excited, I'm like, you know what we could do? I could be streaming, and we'll be just like blah 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 blah. This and this. Maybe we're following the RuneFest stream at the same time, and then while we're doing that, I can hear what he's talking about on his headset. And he's like, hey, I got an exclusive interview with Magpie over here at RuneFest. And I'm like, okay, sweet. And then I go to the stream and be like, boom. Okay, we're going to send this over to Zyra's live. You're only going to get the audio, though. Boom, take it away. So same thing that you're talking about, minus the video. So you don't get to see the awkward pause. You just get to hear it.
Yeah. It'd be cool if you had like a GoPro. You got all the candid shots. You see Wooks and Ash talking out back, and Ash going, okay, so we're going to give you this record. But all you have to do is say warding is good for the game. Yeah. And you're like...
Imagine they go to for RuneFest and then one of their pitches is warding again. They're just like, we want to introduce
that would be the
skill.
Best. That would be the best troll ever. Can you imagine if they just put it up and it's the same? It's literally like the same presentation. They even have RuneFest 2018.
Yeah. They just play a video of how it went down.
Oh,
funny.
Man.
We can only hope.
That would be amazing.
Actually, I don't hope for that. We just lose on one big update a year. We just get 2. Oh boy. So yeah, Patreon. That's what's going on there. Going on with the show. What do we got going on with the show? User in the clan chat and Discord has a survey right now. He's got a survey for having a clan chat world, home world. Obviously, if you're bossing or if you're doing mini games or PKing, you're going to be hopping a bunch of worlds, so it doesn't matter. But if you're just, maybe just smithing, maybe you're just wandering around doing Slayer, you're not world hopping. If a lot of us were hanging out on one world, we'd bump into each other more often, and it makes it a little bit more fun. So if you're interested in that, go on to Discord, find the survey, and vote what you think. I'm not sure how long it's going to be up, but he's kind of he's got the reins on that one.
You know what I'm going to do, actually, if you're cool with this? I'm going to pin the survey for the time being.
That's a good idea.
And then that way you don't have to keep scrolling up for it. It was posted on July 29th, but I put it in the pin section.
Good. That's a good call. I know I, like many other people, I forget about the pins. The pinned messages. I wish they made it a little bit more obvious that they're there. But yeah, you can click the pinned messages on any of the channels and it will have some saved images there. Nice. Cool stuff. All right, so that's about it. But before we do get out of here, we got a little bit more to get through. And we got some emails that we touched briefly on from last week. Okay, so this email is from Grizzly Wizard. And he says, enjoy the podcast. I want to talk a little bit about your comments on the updates to splashing, with Jagex essentially putting a fence around Lumbridge that keeps players from getting experience. You remember this update, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So he says, commented that people who use magic legitimately will lose experience when they splash, but this isn't the case. The restrictions on experience only takes place for players whose magic accuracy keeps them from being able to successfully land a spell. Legitimate users won't be affected. So that's cool. I didn't actually notice. I didn't realize that. So that's a smart way of doing it. It's probably very easy to tell who's trying to splash. And he says, I think I have some insight as to why Jagex has done this. When you AFK train skills, you are required to pay some level of attention to what is happening on your screen. Many AFK methods of training require constant banking, clicking on items in your inventory, or moving around, whether it be to chop another tree or refill your inventory for fletching, or to run an agility obstacle. These methods generally try to maximize experience gain as much as possible while still remaining AFK. In order to gain experience, you have to successfully complete the task you are attempting. Splashing is inherently different from the other forms of AFK training in that you are exploiting a flaw in the game's mechanics to gain experience. In order for splashing to work, you need to intentionally lower your magic accuracy to a point where your spells will fail 100% of the time. You also don't need to pay any attention to the game whatsoever. There is no banking or moving. All you need to do is rotate your camera or click in a random spot every 15 minutes, and you can splash for 6 hours. New players, especially those with no knowledge of old school RuneScape, shouldn't see such a large number of players getting experience this way. It sets a bad example for how the game should be played in general. The only reason that splashing gives experience in the first place is to keep legitimate magic users from completely wasting their runes when a spell fails. Those are just my thoughts. My OSRS name is Grizzly Wizard. If you guys have any thoughts on this or you want to discuss it further.
Yeah, I think he pretty much hit the nail on the head there. You can't you can't argue against anything he said, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very strong argument. And yeah, I didn't realize it only affects people with a negative magic accuracy, which totally makes sense.
Yeah, saw a call by the Grizzwiz.
Oh, yeah. And we get an email from Sarah2G. He says, hopefully all is well with Deegan, but I just want to say the last two podcasts have been great, and Magpie has been absolutely fantastic. That is no reflection on Deegan, as to I think he is awesome as well, although being able to hear it from someone new and get a new perspective from Magpie has been really refreshing. Look forward to hearing from more guests, and hopefully Deegan soon. All the best. So just some kind words there, but thank you very much for those.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun, and yeah, it's also why I'm excited to do like the ramble episodes. I think it'd be cool because I think every person has some unique perspective to add, even if you're just like a normal player. Like everyone, when we were all kids, we were all basically the same for the most part, but now that we're older, we're working different jobs, we all have different paths we're on, and
and on a personal note, I mean, I'm not trying to replace Deegan. I think I said this like on Discord a couple days ago, but like I'm a fan of the show just as much, and I would listen to all the episodes with you and Deegan on, so I can't replace Deegan. That being said, I'm not here to replace Deegan. I'm just filling in for him while he does his own stuff, and if it takes him some time, that's fine, because real life always before RuneScape. But at the same time, I'm my own person, he's his own person. All I can offer is my insight on things, and that's going to be a change, and it's going to be a different perspective because we're all our individual people. So the only thing I can do is try to enjoy this, hopefully make other people enjoy what I have to say, or like make people think for themselves, and hopefully just let the good times roll.
Yeah, I guess you couldn't put it any better, because who knows, we're kind of just rolling with it. But for the time being, this is fun, and we'll keep doing it until it's not fun anymore, right?
Exactly.
So that's that's how we'll do it, and I do appreciate you taking your time to come on the show. It's you definitely give me different ways to think of the game, which I think is great, and yeah, hopefully people listening kind of have the same outlook, right? They're kind of seeing it from different angles. But yeah, we're just taking it 1 week at a time. We're not really sure what holds for the future of the podcast. But either way, it'll be fun, and yeah, we'll keep pumping out new episodes one way or another. And I think that's it for emails. I'm deeply sorry if I have missed an email. I don't think I have, but I had to reorganize the whole inbox, because the way I was organizing it before, it wasn't really good. Sometimes I didn't respond to someone for like 9 days. That was just because I was afraid of losing it in the sea of read emails. But hopefully I found a better way of doing it. If not, just shoot me a message. And I have a list here of people I need to get in contact for the our skill competition. But if you did do a skill competition, I've been meaning to get an email out to you. But add me in game, and we can do it that way, but I'll also be shooting you an email. Hopefully, I meant to do it this week, but I got so busy. I actually forgot. So the job that I work at now. So I had two before. Now I just have the one. I'm covering reception. I totally forgot that I was covering reception tomorrow. So I went in for training, and then she was like, "So yeah, you can just do this tomorrow." And I was like, "Tomorrow? I thought it was Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. What's happening tomorrow?" She's like, "You said you'd cover my shift?" And I was like, "Oh shit, fuck, that's right. Okay, I guess we're yep, that's no problem." I've been a little busy and a little frazzle-minded, too much going on, and I'm not very organized either. So yeah. Anywho, if you do want to hang out with us in game, you can do that at WildCC. Our Twitter is The Wilderness RS. Our Facebook is facebook.com/thewildernesspodcast. Our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, we have Discord, and it's on Facebook and Twitter, so you should be able to click that and get right in there. I have been streaming almost every night, so you can check that out, 7 to 10 p.m. EST, although that is subject to change, but that's what I've been doing more recently. That's twitch.tv/the Dilz. That's about it, though. Magpie, do you have a clan? Do you do a lot of learner raids? How can somebody get in on that?
So I do a lot of learner raids on We Do Raids. I teach there. Also, again, I have a Discord for anybody to chill on. I don't have an official clan. Again, like if I'm chilling, I'll be in the Wild CC or something. But my DMs are always open, either in game or Discord. Discord is probably better just in case I'm AFKing on mobile and I miss your PM because it doesn't really save there. But otherwise, you can always DM me. You can find me on We Do Raids, which I didn't want to really like advertise that, just because I didn't want to pawn it off here or vice versa. I didn't want to make it sound like I'm coming on here just to advertise there. But it's just a community where you can find people to teach you how to do raids, find people to do raids with if you already know how to do raids, and then I have my own little Discord place for people to chill. You can always hit me up if you want to join that. And other than that, I will be always in the Wild CC. I'll be doing my thing. You can always ping me in PVM if you want to run anything. I always lurk in every channel. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have a dedicated clan. And even if I did, I don't want to drag anyone away from Wild CC because I'm a wild boy first.
Yeah, well, some people bounce around. And yeah, I don't have any issues with it. Totally understand. But yeah, cool stuff. Shit, I forgot. What's the song of the week? Will be.
Can I request one?
Yeah, do it.
So, in honor of our KQ grinds,
yes.
Can I request Insect Queen?
Ooh, nice. Never heard that one, I don't think. Okay, Insect Queen it is. It's the music unlocked in the Calphite Lair and the Calphite Cave. It came out September 2004, and composer Ian Taylor. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I guess that's about does it for episode 141. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. I always do, but we'll hopefully recover it for next episode if that's the case. So thanks, Magpie, for joining. And we'll see you guys next episode.
Thanks for having me. Keep gaming, gamers.
Hell yeah. Bye.
Bye.